Bravo 121 clear.
Back in the White House, I deployed the men and women of the United States military to stop the invasion on our southern border, right? It was an invasion, losing hundreds of thousands of people to fentanyl and to drugs, and now we have the most secure
commanding
border in
officer
American
here at
history.
the Naval Station,
For
Norfolk,
5
right
months,
here,
they said
where he founded a nautical
zero.
school for
No
officers
people
that
came into
eventually
our
became
country
the
illegally.
one
They came
and
in
only
through a legal
U.S.
process, but
Naval
nobody came in through
Academy.
the southern border. Can you imagine? Even I can't. It's hard to believe that.
And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for? You may be surprised.
Yes, we re-solicited on that. We had gotten a single response the first time we put it out. We have 2 responses this time. They're currently under evaluation, and we'll be selecting one of these companies to move forward and with a design build contract to
Copper, engine 10x10, engine 10x10 for Norfolk Reading, 1922 Sherman, 192 Sherman, USD 1008. Aircraft unit 1 at 10 a.m.
We reduced the specialty assignment pay to $150 and reduced the driver's cert assignment. I think it's more of an assignment, reducing that to
main span of it. You see that there's still going to be some work to be done even after this. This is just really opening up the ship channel to larger vessels to come through there. And there's still going to be some dismantling of both ends of the bridge beyond today. So it's getting close,
I'll volunteer.
20 minutes or so out from when the estimate of when that center span.
I've always thought the world of you. You do an amazing job coming up with these creative solutions. I mean, I know I hear from the building community, they're really excited to have you.
And lift fund, and they're doing fun.
However, your
Fine.
stock
Lift
did
fund
go
went
down
down
once
to
Michael Miller
49.3.
started to.
But they've been really pushing the federal, so they didn't hardly do anything last year. They just brought a lot into it so that you could raise the type A. SCORE did well, and in fact they went up to 70 for this year. The internships, you can see Del Mar didn't do so well. Now all that money, now when we're talking about last year, we're talking about type A.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Everyone hear me okay?
We encourage people to do that. Wonderful.
You all should have received the press release this morning with some accompanying documents. I first want to start off by saying that just a few weeks ago, we saw
review days in Asia. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this is the time when many families are searching for clarity, for hope, and ultimately for options.
Full president who had no clue what the hell was happening. The chances of him walking down those stairs successfully were not good.
Development Corporation.
And I have to be careful because one day I'm going to.
The next slide shows the location map.
Commander,
This specifically is affecting parcel of land identified as number 1 on the slide.
U.S. Naval Academy.
You can see on the right dedicated portion of this slide that the new water line is the thick blue
And I'm going to be
line.
at your Army.
And again, what it'll do.
Who am I going to root for? You may be
be surprised.
and is likely far higher than that. We receive so many credible threats.
Let me take a stab.
We simply cannot keep up with them. Last Thursday morning,
Like I said,
higher temperatures and saltier water.
Could the person afford many of our
This is not going to benefit me in a monetary way.
included in the design process?
Take a look at the majority of the folks that do not want this. Most are younger, who have more time to lose, but I appreciate our elders who are coming up and fighting for the future. They may not see it. This is not a comfortable lifestyle.
No, this we have never given up on the idea of fighting for what is right, what is just, and what is fair. Vote no on this disaster and
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They said, it's Gulf of America. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that.
Potentially a request from the developer.
So I'm very
close the gap financially on some of these affordable housing developments that they want to do here.
Your Honor, these are the tower chief's logs from both Guantanamo Bay and Andrews Air Force Base. Guantanamo logs have no flight.
I don't understand admitting evidence for slightly never existed.
Have the opportunity to speak on a panel with the chair.
Defense will be calling Airman Cecil O'Malley and Airman Anthony
Mistakes needs and the city purpose carries out the city Christi majority to the city library board because you wish them come up with a policy that says, has spoken several times recently of closely applies materials, especially sexually expressive materials. So this conference has that important opportunity to make sure you stay in touch with other cases.
This is the current proposed reform of the city library board. They actually set out a procedure where parents can.
Now we have the most secure border in the world. For 5 months, and unlike zero nations, we will not be politically. They came in, no legal process to defend the United States. We're no longer, even like it's hard to
We've seen a White House correspondent, David Jerry, who was traveling with the president.
From now on, it just seems we're in a war. We're going to win the war.
Now we're adding
the airport. That's part of that situation. The airport for all video from start to finish. Show exactly what happened from the moment I got out of my car alone in the dark.
So
to the time
when you're talking about El Nino and La
gate.
Nina, we're talking about
I've requested all body
scale
cam footage.
Other properties that I've actually dealt with
request. If it's outside the city limits, we would do it at tab. If you do it at a building permit.
But they didn't do it with a smirk or a smile.
Policy discussion. It's the Gulf of America. When the actual
It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that little big hit. So I'm very... And not only are the towers come to that also bringing peace to the world. Sunday in Malaysia,
I've recognized professional standards for firefighters and the Fire Service Quality Commission. It was formed in 1991. It also reviews policies, revenue
commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here. 40,000 in Norfolk school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Have a new boat facility and green space we'd like to have out there. Turquoise building that's
and I'm going to be at the Army Navy Who am I going to root for?
And we also enforce some deed restrictions attached to this property from back. So this was all part of the old Cliff Moss Airport. And to support the construction of the Texas State School, we dedicated the land to the state.
To me, what else is going on?
Going to become commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk Radio. Commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk Radio. Eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval U.S. Naval Academy. And I'm going to be at your Army Navy game this year. And I'm going to be at your Army Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for? You may be surprised. You may be surprised.
Inferior to tax lien, and so often on these vacant properties.
Years ago, at
the YMCA Boys and Girls Club, Salvation Army, I used to teach pre-martial arts class for them. I think when we get
going to become commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk Radio, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy. And I'm going to be at your Army Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for? You may be surprised.
And airport security.
Like I said,
you will see multiple times over that they have acknowledged their failures in keeping me safe. They have acknowledged multiple times they did not show up to keep me safe. You will see in the video on Thursday morning, it was dark. No one was there to pick me up and escort me.
108, 110, whatever the number is. How does it work? How does it work before that happens? I mean, we're sending guys out the door today, potentially getting FEMA reimbursement up to 106. You know, so the question becomes is, where does that money go?
The one and only U.S. Naval
Back to us
Academy.
how? Yeah, but when we get it, where does it go?
It goes into our personnel.
In the last year,
Thank you.
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for? You may be surprised.
Every single time Senator Schumer, radical Democrats have voted no. Voted 13 times against funding food assistance, against paying for our troops, against paying for against paying
Nobody knows where it is and what it carries. There's nothing that carries weaponry like that. And we're 25 years ahead of any other country when it comes to submarines. Nobody's even close. Nobody can match us. No roll call. Navy warriors would be complete without recognizing some of the fiercest and most elite commandos in the history of war. They are the toughest, and there's nobody tougher. There's just nobody. That's what they
After my vehicle was docked, I have been following
like I said,
one time from where we are standing right now. I recently, after that, also had another employee who was followed out of the parking lot as well.
Responsibility of the county, so community projects like the skate park.
I've had multiple individuals
Easy to jump into.
appear at my office unannounced. I've had multiple people threaten to show up to my
open house
office
portion of our meeting. And that's where we have key departments from across the city are set up in the back. You'll be able to ask your questions directly to them, speak directly to the city manager, and really just kind of wander around and talk to people and have plenty of opportunity to interact.
Where's that reflected in the -1 and the 22 that you're proposing?
$238,000 for a newly constructed home. We provide assistance as a 0% loan, and the term varies from 5 to 10 years based on the amount of assistance provided. Next slide, please.
Starting when you guys got here.
The city's down payment assistance program. Sure.
Two entities have sent in their votes, Dulce School District and Driscoll. So it's not going to be tremendously helpful because that's 15 total votes. So we're one of the first of any substantial vote count.
So when is CCISD, which is the largest one, going to make their vote?
The 28th.
And all three of those lift stations on the at the minimum,
They don't
serious
safety
upgrades,
concerns. They're not asking.
including in industry.
Mine is 58. That's why you want to get it. Next slide.
That's even better. Back. It makes the number even lower. So this was all part of the Cliff Moss Airport.
We're adding the cadets back in, but we're saying
Support the construction of the Texas State School. We dedicated the land to the state.
I've got this ugly
Perfect weather for a project like this today.
you know, the complaints come about, which they do. We have to try to do
So to become commanding
So what I'm
officer
looking
here
at
at
here,
the
just
Naval
from this
Station Norfolk, right
perspective
here,
that Preston's
where he
got,
founded a nautical school
you see
for
the
officers
9
that
in the
eventually
background. We're going to be able to
became the one
use that
and only
9 as a reference
U.S.
point
Naval
as it gets lower and lower and lower. So it seems like it may not be moving, right? And right now it's not. But as the
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for? You may be surprised.
this is where it happens.
Last 3 months to help lead this building. I think the American Bank Center is fantastic. I've been in the venue management industry for about 30 years, going back to performing arts, arenas, and stadiums. And to see this facility that you have, that has the arena, that has the convention center, and the Selena Auditorium all under one roof is a very unique setting, and it's a really wonderful asset for the community. I know I've said this to our city manager as well. This is my brief time here, I've become an incredibly huge fan for it, and I really do.
With a drought situation?
So clearly know why it's happening. And I brought a few friends. We brought some colleagues here from the state of New York and New York City to share with you about some of what's going on here. Back in March, this is very clear what happened. Let me summarize very briefly, as I can. Back in March, Chuck Schumer voted for the same measure that's on the floor now. He did the right thing, and he went on the floor of the Senate, and he gave an impassioned speech of why we could never inflict all this pain on the American people.
Can we afford it? Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Everyone hear me okay? You all should have received the press release this morning with some accompanying documents. I first want to start off by saying that just a few weeks ago, we saw Charlie Kirk assassinated in cold blood. Last year, President Trump had 2 attempts on his life, 2 assassination attempts.
The myth of one paycheck,
we saw
and it's hard for them, but a lot of them can get through it. None of them can get through 2 paychecks.
Or 5
And so, again, if Democrats don't get their act together very quickly, you're going to see huge problems. And again, I would come to them with a clean heart and say, open up the government, and then let's have a conversation. I'll give it to the Teamster, Sean O'Brien.
Thank you very much, Secretary Duffy. Thank you, Vice President Vance. Look, the bottom line, and we took a position, I represent 1.3 million working men.
On average, I receive over 1,300 credible threats a year. That is not an exaggeration.
Flood mitigation plan.
It's actually a very conservative estimate and is likely far higher than that. We receive so many credible threats, we simply cannot keep up with them. Last Thursday morning, I absolutely 100%
going to become commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
They absolutely earned it. And so today, I want you to know that the press,
Lieutenant. And I'm going to be at your Army Navy game this year. You may be surprised. very, very talented people. Nobody embodies skill and nerve and swagger. The attitude like the U.S.
never existed.
That's why I'm here, not someone else. I didn't need this. I didn't need all their job.
Information to you,
I could have had a nice
to include potentially a request from the developer to help close the gap financially on some of these affordable housing.
And I guess we've got some
employees
maybe from the port. They're out there circling the barge in a littler, smaller boat. They're making sure I'm thinking everything is all good. I don't know exactly who that is or who they're with, but I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe.
Christi had the opportunity to speak on a panel with the chairman of Texas about the state's needs, and then obviously how City of Corpus Christi and the City of Corpus Christi is working to address the water needs because it bypasses
these are the tower chief's logs, Guantanamo Bay,
agencies work that the City of Corpus Christi is doing. So those conferences implement that, and also opportunities to make sure that the in touch with state
We've got material processors, criminal evidence, like they never existed.
in order to be able to be eligible for those grants. Now, there's matching
Cecil O'Malley and Anthony Rodriguez.
the stormwater money and sales tax.
And the police department has nothing to do with it because they get done their job.
There's a new administration fee, there's a rental process fee on slide by releasing the location of where I am normally
It just seems.
when I
Could you speak to that? Because we're already proposing going up on rates, and now we're adding admin fees.
Bilateral meeting. Like we're going to NBC News, senior White House correspondent Greg Gutierrez, who was traveling with the president in South Korea.
Right, the voters have to reapprove it. That's the cost.
From the president, who was their relationship is cordial.
We haven't. I think that there has been sufficient money
These are the tower chief's logs
through
from
the
both
taxes being
Guantanamo Bay
allocated
and
to
Andrews Air
streets,
Force Base.
because there are some new police projects that do capacity, and so I mean it is something we could look at.
request. It's outside the city limits. We do it at TAP. We do it at building permits. And that's policy discussions that's going to happen at SEAC of when the actual fee is charged. You can charge it either on building permit. We're recommending building permit because that's the way 99% of the cities do it. So this was item 2 on the agenda, was the recommendation on stormwater. So we had a lot of options out there.
It's doing well, and I think yes, it is very clever. And
I have had
perhaps 20, 25 years.
We get that
located over the right area. And not only are the tariffs strengthened, Contact Line, number one, also bringing pieces on Sunday in Malaysia.
Exactly.
We signed what we have.
So what it is development services is run as a business, like its own fund. So you consider it an enterprise fund. Enforcement of recognized professional standards for firefighters and for fire service. So appointed commission.
That is also
formed in 1991. The commission reviews policies regarding regulation of all fire departments and firefighter status in Texas.
Where's that
So we do
-3 times 2. This is the concept drawing. Facility and green space.
And then I think we've been very
is located just a little bit southeast.
starting when you guys got here. Peter got here in 19, we came to the table. I'm sorry. Yeah, 19.
I am very concerned if this is what's going on. To me, what else is going on?
Going to become commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Bienvenidos a Corpus Christi en un minuto. Yo soy Gabriela. El día de hoy les voy a mostrar algunas de
And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game.
Where's that reflected in the -1 and the 22 that you're supposed to actually proposes, you may be surprised. Did he just do the formulary going forward? Where's the credit? Where's the, hey guys, we appreciate what you're doing. I think we've been very evident.
Government shutdown.
Starting when you guys got here.
$billion
Got here 19, we came to the table.
Commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Bosses hit billions. Leaders, industry leaders,
And unlike embodied skill and I'm going to be at your army and not be who am I going to root for? You may be surprised.
Let's just play it safe. I think this is
That's why I'm here, not someone else. I didn't need this. From now on, if we're in a war, we're going to win the war. We're going to win it. I had such a beautiful
They did not show up to keep me safe. You will see in the video on Thursday morning, it was dark.
I hate this asshole.
No one was there to pick me up and escort me. I was alone. It is a huge safety concern.
Done.
And I'm not going to tolerate that kind of behavior.
Starting to become the commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
I guess we've got some employees maybe from the port. They're out there circling the bar. They're making sure I'm thinking everything is all exactly so that
The American Bank Center, I've been in the venue industry for about 30 years, going back to performing arts, arenas and stadiums. And to see this facility that you have, that has the arena, that has the convention center, and the auditorium, all under one roof, it's a very unique setting. It's really wonderful asset to the community. I know I've said this to our city manager.
And we're 25 years ahead of any other country when it comes to submarines. Nobody's even
huge fan for it.
Nobody can
and I really do.
No roll call. Navy warriors would be complete without recognizing some of the fiercest and most elite commandos in the history of war. They are the toughest. There's nobody tougher. It's just that's what they tell
the council that we don't feel like they're
approved.
And we don't get, or the type A or the type B gets minimal recognition. For example,
as well. I've had multiple individuals appear at my office unannounced. I've had multiple people threaten to show up to my office unannounced. We have had bomb threats. You all have been present when we had an evacuation earlier this year because of a suspicious package. I've had property vandalized. Some of you have covered it over the years, where I've had my car key. I've had my home.
Officer for Corpus Christi Water. Officer for the opportunity to speak on a panel. Had the opportunity to speak on a panel with Texas gentlemen.
Then we learned technology.
Where's that reflected in the starting when you guys got to the state. Peter got here in 19, we came to the table. I'm sorry. Yeah, 19. We could
brought these concerns to the attention of the airport.
And so they gave the opportunity.
They don't see the numbers. They're not
lifetime
those
so far.
industries why they don't have the jobs. They're not protecting their water.
Smaller, little-known firms with dominance.
Bilateral meetings.
I put together a presentation right here to give you 7 stock investment ideas, completely free, to get my number one, sell this, buy that idea, age of chaos. To be clear, I have never given away this much resources to no
corporation.
So take advantage of it. But you can still get into these companies and create
there were some deed restrictions that attached to this property when we received it back from the state. So this was all part of the old Cliff Moss Airport. And to support support the construction of Texas State School.
Perfect weather for a project.
Dedicated the land to the state.
Most of the time they end up just vacating the home and leaving it, which does lend to the fact that.
So what I'm looking at here, just from this perspective that Preston's got, you see the 9 in the background. We're going to be able to use that 9 as a reference point as it gets lower and lower. So it seems like it might not be moving, right? And right now it's not, but as this one.
And I'm going to be at the Army Navy game. Who am I going to root for?
2 responses.
This is where it happens.
Like I said,
of the friends that I'm seeing, regardless of state preferences,
Let me take a stab.
I have all
Desiree, or
at 1,000%, despite the harassment,
Like I said,
despite
one
the
is
death
healthcare
threats,
sustainability.
and I wrote an incident report
Does
for every time
the state
someone
or the city help
cursed at me
the
and
mothers or
did
fathers
that.
or they just pay for
I
the
don't
price?
pay for it.
Is there like a work program for like a workforce program to help pay
We need to spend
That's so
money
clear.
on parents.
Why it's state funding I was referring to. And I brought in a few friends. We brought some colleagues here working with us together. New York City. Here with so as I think that what's going on here.
Your presentation is good, but I also want to summarize the future of North Beach. Some of the things like erosion and some of the other things, and I wish that somebody was here from the presentation because I know in the past there's been some issues here as far as why making sure that long term that structure can stay in place and do the things that it needs to be done. If you haven't updated all or anything.
Soared into deadly skies and slashed across the mine-infested bays to claim American victory and to defend the cause of liberty, to defend, quite frankly, the American flag. In every era and every part of this globe, our sailors have fought with courage in their hearts, patriotism in their souls, and salt water in their veins.
Looking at our economic
Salt
development
water.
program, so just a reminder, this fund does not receive funding and having like 30.8 cents.
Getting close too. Look at that. Inside,
And so we began the year with so far.
I guess we've got some. I know as we've been watching at nighttime, we've seen sparks out there, circling up there. I'm not an engineer. It's amazing. You see.
Starting when you guys got here in 19, we came to the table. Starting when you guys got 19, Peter got here in 19, we came to the table.
The next presentation.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 19.
Best way to do it. That way you can have an idea. But now we're having to wait longer to build this facility.
Quote, to my knowledge, there has not been a challenge to the appeals court ruling, signed Mike Pusley. Why would Councilmember Pusley send this email to the other 2 council members that helped write the MOU?
Patient agreement.
Did he do it to try to reassure them that they had not broken the law, or was it for another reason?
On streets and drainage cross sections.
Okay, and then item 15 is an ordinance authorizing a wastewater system construction and reimbursement agreement with MPM development as well.
Correct. This is a trust fund reimbursement. Again, this one is through the same.
Soared into deadly skies and slashed across the mine-infested bays to claim American victory and to defend
And so we began the year with $8 million
to defend, quite frankly, the American flag. In every era, in every part of this globe, our sailors have fought with courage in their hearts, patriotism in their souls, and salt water in their veins. You have that salt water.
Drop is a superhero like this, and they went and they registered
Government shutdown would lead to $14 billion.
I think,
congressional budget.
This is where it has to.
Shut down proposed Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing child care. Shut down crushes small business owners as losses hit billions. Leaders, industry leaders beg Congress to clean CR. Lifetime for ongoing government large, reliable companies little known firms will dominate. I put together a presentation for you right here.
Commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here. Eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Take advantage of that, while you can still get into these companies at great prices.
Elected mayors and bars will still go in.
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy games.
Huge thank you to
Who am I going to root
60
for?
firefighters.
You may be surprised.
Talking about is Alma Equity. The proposed development includes 152 rental units, all for households at or below 60% of the area median income. For a family of 4, that's $41,580. There's a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. The total project costs are estimated to be $1.2 million. Funding sources for this project include multi-family revenue bond.
Request. If it's outside the city limits, we do a tab review of the system. And that's again part of the policy discussion that's going to happen with SEAC on when the actual fee is charged. You could charge it either in plat or building permit. We're recommending building permit because that's the way 99% of cities do it. So this was item 2 on the agenda, was the recommendation on stormwater. So we had a lot of options out there.
So we CCW operates a water laboratory. It's at the Owen Stevens Water Treatment Plant. We have internal customers and external customers.
I'm familiar
This
also with
ordinance
the Corpus Christi
updates our
Association rules
fees
and
for
not
each
like
of
the
the
registered properties, but in this particular case, and again, so before I get further,
Enforcement of recognized professional standards for firefighters and fire service, so it's an important commission.
Well, that was good time. We had to get that right. We had to get that right. They always get it right. I was just giving a display with a wonderful first lady, the likes of which I think few people have ever seen before. We were a few minutes away, and the display of strength was absolutely what we appreciate it. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.
Does the state or the city help the mothers and fathers for latchkey, or they just pay full price? Is there like a work program like a workforce program to help pay latchkey for parents?
That was the state funding I was referring to earlier. It's through workforce.
So is there a wait list for that?
For workforce, there's a wait list for a program out there. I don't know about
That's the only thing I don't like is
I want people in South Carolina traveling through all of our airports to be safe, and that's what this is about.
But where do I fit in? And I think that's where.
Come on, they didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say in the Gulf of America. You know, it's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm very.
Previous to this flight on Thursday, the last time I flew in, there was no security at the gate. This has happened over and over.
International critically endangered species.
Show up after we've coordinated it with our office and my team on what time I'm arriving, when I'm arriving.
A lot of them can get
Ordinance amending Chapter 43 of the City Code of Ordinances to establish a training session fee schedule for the Corpus Christi Police Department for sessions held at the Corpus Christi Police Academy.
Second,
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say in the Gulf of America. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm very...
This incident on Thursday, I'm not being paid either, by the way. TSA is not being paid. I'm not getting paid. If our troops aren't getting paid,
Getting close, too. Look at that.
I did not get a paycheck
Getting
this morning
close, too.
because
Look at that. Wow.
I said,
And I guess we've got
federal
some...
government employees aren't being paid.
I guess we've got some employees maybe from the port. They're out there circling the barge. Maybe from the port. They're out there circling the barge. They're making sure I'm posing and everything is all good. They're making sure I'm thinking everything is all good. I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe. I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe.
Sure, let me take a stab at Desiree issue of having to move that out of, they're not ignoring them outside. Like I said,
How many times have my children in the past?
This year,
So it's a very small market that's in.
Well, President, we have no clue what the hell is happening. The chances of him walking down those stairs successfully were not good. But I have to be careful because one day I'm going to probably fall. No, the North Carolina women say that will never happen. I always say walk down the steps nice and slowly. I don't have to bop down the stairs. Walk nice and slowly. But
So I want to make sure that and then also around the to the Texas Commission to make sure our techniques are strong. $14 billion from February, and we were just talking a few minutes ago.
Shut down proposed Head Start programs this week.
He'll be nominated again for the full term, which is a 6-year term.
Shut down
in February.
crushers.
And so then
Small business owners as losses hit billions.
Term, but
leaders, industry leaders beg Congress for clean CR.
By Elliott Summey and
Ongoing
the airport.
government.
They have doxed where I get dropped off. They have doxed vehicles. The vehicle that I was in on Thursday, and they have severely
leaders heading off to their bilateral meeting. This week, NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, who is traveling with the president in South Korea. Gabe, we heard optimism from the president. He was describing their relationship as cordial. We've heard optimism leading up to this. What is the last thing he said?
The next exhibition that we just opened in September was Target Texas Studio Practices. Target Texas is a biennial exhibition that we put on that always focuses on Texas artists, some emerging, some well-established. We always have a theme around that. This year the theme is studio practices, so it kind of dives into how these artists are influenced by the area that they work in, and so there's a great mix.
Commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
That their children should see. I draw your attention to the other page. This is the current proposed reform.
And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for?
The procedure where parents
You may be surprised.
You're free to film a photograph. People do it all the time. But there is an inherent risk to my safety when it happens. And to have the airport actively participate in compromising my safety, I find extremely egregious. So, you know, to have the Attorney General compromise my safety and there has been fallout from
Right, it's still a city park, so we do have several that we're
posted my vehicle all over social media. So it is a problem. I mean, obviously there's balance here. I'm not filming, whatever. People's obsession with filming me or photographing me, have at it. But it does compromise my safety, and that's why I'm doing this press conference this morning to point out and place some blame here. I want accountability.
Inside commercial streets under the sales tax authorization, so that sales tax authority could be used for commercial industrial streets, and then you would free up GO bond proceeds that could then be utilized for your residential streets.
Yeah, no, I think there's, thank you for understanding that, and I think the biggest piece here, Councilman, is we have to educate, we do, because if you just said we're strict,
concerning about looking at that, watching down over the next.
Coming off the new fiscal year.
And again, the estimate was 430 on my watch. I got 417, so roughly 13 minutes out from this thing coming down. I'm going to switch over to the Lex Cam again, and you can't even see from this angle, you cannot see any.
A service animal relief and plenty of seating for travelers to relax and enjoy the scenery. Located in front of the patio is the new Nueces Brewing Bar. It features a horseshoe-shaped bar, TVs, charging ports, and separate seating accommodating up to 23 people. These enhancements offer a multitude of benefits for both travelers and the local community, providing a new relaxing space to unwind and a wider variety of dining.
Correct.
Well, yeah, so I was just gonna say like 35% of the applications they're gonna work on this program is what you're saying.
So
far.
Some will continue to fall out.
But they've
Safety
disqualified
has been put at risk over 24 times.
I know
at
I've
this
heard
airport.
lenders talk about this
I
program.
am frustrated.
So
I am
know that
absolutely pissed off.
Face to face in
And I'm
6
going
years.
to let people know that this is not
Since a trade war
professional.
erupted
It's not
between them.
okay.
Now, the president for the last several days has been sounding very optimistic about this meeting. You just heard him from right
with
there.
everyone.
Saying briefly to reporters that he expected a very successful meeting. But on the table,
The president, he had no clue what the hell was happening. The chances of him walking down those stairs successfully were not good. And I have to be careful because one day I'm going to probably
Looks
fall.
like he's on.
No, the North
south
Carolina woman
side.
said that will never happen to you. I always say walk down the steps nice and slow. You ever notice I do nice?
If you're going to be in
I don't have to bop down the stairs. Walk nice and slow.
It's going to be
But we
weird not seeing
if I find out
that iconic art
it's being sued
what is now the old Harvard Bridge. When you look at
the
our
lack of process from this commission. Our illustrious mayor is named
They know I'm close to public hearing to move on to item number 13, which is a resolution authorizing a developer participation agreement with SK.
people. Nobody embodies skill and nerve and swagger and the attitude like the U.S. Naval.
Good afternoon, Council. Mike Dice, Development Services. What we have today, first item is a participation agreement
That's why I'm here.
with for Valley States for the oversize and over-depth.
Program for like a workforce program to help pay latchkey for.
That was the state funding I was referring to earlier. It's through workforce. So,
Did I drop
yes,
an
sir.
F-bomb?
So
is there a waiting list for that?
Did I call them
For
incompetent?
workforce, there's a wait list
I hope
for
I
our
did because they
program
earned
after
it.
our kid pro.
So
I don't know
I'm not
about
going
for
to
workforce.
apologize for holding people
That's the only thing I don't like is the.
Going to become commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
We thought it was our property, and then we learned that, no, this is actually the property
On Thursday,
industrial development.
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy
We also
Who am
learned
I going to root Commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here. Eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Trump can fund food assistance on his own.
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy again. Who am I going to root for?
There has not been a challenge to the appeals court ruling, signed Mike Puzley. Why would Councilmember Puzley send this email to the other two council members when someone come up with a policy that says, hey, did he do it to try to reassure them that they had not broken the law, especially sexually expressed materials that their children should see?
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say, the Gulf of America. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody was playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court.
Basically,
But they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that.
and rebuilding it
Big hit.
to match the other
So,
spaces. Two smaller spaces into one much more functional, much more usable space.
I'm going to open the floor for nominations for secretary. Do you have any nominations?
And the review of the corporate's
I'm going to become commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
And we will continue to do so, but until they are willing to acknowledge the problem.
Inside City Hall.
And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for? Huh?
Request. If it's outside the city limits, we would do it at TAP. If you do it at building permit. And that's, again, part of the policy discussion that's going to happen with SEAC on when the actual fee is charged. You could charge it either at plat or building permit. We're recommending building permit because that's the way 99% of the cities do it. So this was item 2 on the agenda, was the recommendation on stormwater. So we had a lot of options out there.
I guess we've got some
So thank you very much. I appreciate
some employees maybe from
they
the
didn't do it
port.
with a
They're out
smirk
there
or smile.
circling the barge in a littler, smaller boat.
Well, the Gulf of America now, and nobody was playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm very...
been an effort on our part to get more efficient and effective, but our CIP scorecard been an effort on our part, encumbrances to get more efficient.
Good morning, everyone. We're on day 34 of the Democrat shutdown. Day 34. It's now officially the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. And we wanted to just have a simple exercise with you this morning to go through just a couple of important facts. There is such a staggering amount of gaslighting, false information that Democrats are engaging in. So we thought it would
Democrats voted to take food off the table and voted to discontinue staff benefits. It is that. Democrats voted to shut it down, and they voted to deny food assistance to 42 million Americans. And they voted that way more than a dozen times. Democrats didn't get confused. They wanted to make sure off the table and voted more than does continue
would lead to $14 billion in lost GDP.
Democrats
the Congressional Budget Office report.
and they voted to deny
Shutdown could close Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing child care.
And they voted
Shutdown crushes small business owners. Government has losses hit billions, lead to $14 billion in lost GDP.
more than a
Congressional
dozen
shutdown could lead to $14 billion Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing the Congressional Shutdown could close small business owners $14 billion losses hit billions. Shutdown small business owners losses hit billions. Leaders lead to $14 billion shutdown crushes small business owners losses hit billions. Shutdown leaders start programs this week. Shutdown down ongoing small business owners as losses and liabilities.
Fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed and delivered the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Parisio, who enlisted in J-Boat and trained right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, 1944 sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force. One of the sailors who did it was Parisio, right here in Norfolk.
I'm assuming
On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix manned an amphibious landing
Clean and more modern and more pleasing in our environment. So these investments were also very significant, even though they seem to be just relatively fairly cosmetic changes. Still really good investments in keeping the venue modernized and looking good. Next slide, please. We also completed some security enhancements, which included keyless entry throughout the building, which is a great investment. Which is pretty common technology for getting us out of the business.
Shut down the small business owners as losses hit billions. Industry leaders beg Congress to clean CR.
Democrats voted to take food off the table and voted to discontinue SNAP benefits. It is that. Democrats voted to shut it down, and they voted to deny Democrats to 42 million Americans, and they voted to continue SNAP benefits. It is that. Just so y'all do, Democrats voted, they wanted to make sure they voted to deny food assistance more than 242 million Americans, and they voted that way more than a dozen times. Just so y'all didn't get confused, they wanted to make sure that the Democrats
lead to $14 billion in lost GDP.
And voted to discontinue SNAP benefits.
Shutdown could close Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing childcare.
And they voted to deny
Shutdown crushes small business owners as losses hit billions. Industry leaders beg Congress to clean CR. Ongoing total lies about. He gets the and as they trigger a healthcare crisis, they're also now triggering a hunger crisis. Doing that, halting SNAP benefits, ordering its own Department of Agriculture to rip its own contingency plan. The money's there, the $6 billion shutdown could lead to $14 billion in lost GDP. Congressional budget outflow. Shutdown could close Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed and delivered the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Parisio, as enlisted in J-Boat and trained right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Parisio, who enlisted in J-Boat and trained right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix manned an amphibious landing group.
The money's there, $6 billion.
That we're not now, one thing that
the proposed development includes 152 rental units, all for households that are below 60% of the area median income.
For a family of 4, that's 40 hours at 5 acres. The proposed development includes 152 multi-family households at a total project cost as the area median income. For a family of 4, that's 41 houses for 5 acres.
It's a
Support the construction of the Texas State Schools. We dedicated the land to the state.
What this is about fear. The Schumer shutdown was never about health
But
care.
they didn't do it with a
That's
smirk or a smile. They didn't say in the Gulf of America.
And that didn't work.
It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. They didn't do it sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. It's called the Gulf of America now. It's the Gulf of America. He's got sued the Associated Press to the very little Associated Press. The judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the papers of that. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. The money's there, $6 billion. They're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It's a big hit. So I'm good.
They wanted to make sure that they rubbed it in their face more than it does.
One cradle of tapestries, that we're going to have
Largest federal workers union called Supreme Bill to
Started to become commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here,
headlines out
where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
It is titled Walking Swamp. They're both to my knowledge,
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy games. Who am I going to root for?
Signed Mike Paisley. Councilmember Paisley sent an email to the other two council members
Just so y'all didn't they wanted to make sure that they rubbed it
trying to
in their
reassure
face
them
more
that
than
they
it
had not
does.
broken the law, or was it for another reason?
Schumer and Jeffrey and their colleagues fear political retribution from far-left activists in their
So we have other facilities we can look at using that are nearby, like the Oso Preserve, also the Ethel Ireland Center. It says a senior center.
Government shutdown.
And they
Could lead to $14 billion in lost GDP. The congressional budget.
But they didn't do it with a smirk or a smile.
Shutdown to close Head Start programs this week.
It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press,
As losses
and they
of
lost.
billions.
In fact, the judge vetoed it. He said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the missiles of Americans. You have to do that too. To the Naval Association. And at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Mauricio. They didn't do it with JP right here in Norfolk, Pennsylvania. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, landing and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too. To the great liberal Associated Press, they got thrown out of court. They're almost not allowed to speak because of that.
Small business owners as losses hit billions. Leaders, industry leaders
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. And at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors, American sailors, fought the most epic naval battles in history. And at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the most epic naval battles in history. And at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the Associated Press, and they lost. June 6th, the judge was so good, have to do that too to the D-Day Associated Press. June 6th, 1944 was not expanded anymore because there's landing credits with big hits. So
He's using our wage scale right now.
Government shutdown could lead to $14 billion in lost GDP. The congressional budget.
Democrats continue to oppose
Shutdown could close Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing childhood. Shutdown crushes.
American was one of the most epic battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single weapon and outmaneuver games with pursued by the Associated Press sailors, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said the Gulf of Mexico in history. You have to do that too, because I have one Associated Press of June 6th, single 1944 expand the world, because they were American sailors, naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver a single large invasion force. On D-Day, as June 6th, one of the sailors was the most amphibious battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single large invasion force. June 6th, 1944, one of the sailors who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk.
Rip its own
On D-Day, June 6th, 1944, Felix Band and amphibious landing craft.
The health care law on the land, and induction of Chuck Consumers have been updated already. The law, Obamacare is the law of the land and health care. And we can all go look at the vote.
When that didn't work, he resorted to lies. He was making us total lies about it.
Commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here, where he founded a Norfolk School for Officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Halting SNAP benefits. Ordering his own Department of Agriculture to rip its own contingency.
And I'm going to be at your
The money's there, over $6 billion.
Who am I going to root for? You may be surprised.
Not helping families get better options. Democrats have never cared about that. And in fact, when we, as we point out multiple times,
Entities are
Democrats voted to deactivate the Senate table and voted to disengage the entities of benefit. It is that Democrats voted to challenge it, and they voted to deny Democrats voted to notice amendments and they voted to
Right, so
Vice President Kamala Harris has been mighty war searching to twisted Brexit deal, extremely vast armadas and sent the mangled pride of empire sinking into oblivion. We've served as warlords, danger, blood, crime, the United States Navy has kept the stars and stripes soaring high and proud above.
Chief Way's appointment is to complete a term that is set to expire in February, so he'll have from September 4th through February, and we were just talking a few minutes ago, and we suspect that he'll be nominated again for the full term, which is a 6-year term in February, and so then the governor could consider a reappointment for a longer term, but yeah, just some background.
Back to the 1, 2 on first page.
So listen, I wanted to just come by to, in particular, thank everyone here, all the folks who have been canvassing, knocking on doors, talking with your friends, talking with your neighbors, talking with your cousins, talking with your play cousins, talking with all the folks
here, hearing about
the power of the people, because that's what this is about.
They didn't do it with a
It is about
smirk or a smile. They
reminding
didn't
folks
do it with a
that
smirk or a
we
smile.
refuse to kneel at the foot of a tyrant.
We got sued by America now. The associated we got sued now, and nobody said we got sued by the associated.
We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the power of the vote, and we are prepared when necessary to fight fire with fire. And what we are doing, what you are doing today, I will tell you, impacts people around the country. As you know, I have traveled the country. I've been traveling on millions of Americans around our country, whether it be the teachers in North Carolina, whether it be
naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Louisiana, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix Band amphibious landing
will be impacted because of our wars. Because the world standing up for the right of the voices of the people to determine who is their government, who creates and runs these systems, and whether or not they are responsive to the needs of our country. And part of what I'm here to say today is other states need to step up. Perseverance. That's why I'm here. There's work to be done. Step up. Because now is the time to understand this fight is not about sitting by and complaining, oh, they're cheating. That's not what this is about. It's not that kind of party. It's about recognizing what they are.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say,
we are witnessing,
Gulf of America.
which feels chaotic.
It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said they didn't do it with the Gulf of America. He's got all the proof of the Gulf of America. You have to do that too. The Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he's calling it he's got all the proof. You have to do that too to the very liberal Association. You have to do that too to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that.
Let's get this done. Let's get this done. I dropped my ballot already. Let's get this done, and we will win on Tuesday. Yes, on 50. 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 Thank you all.
Please give another loud round of applause for Vice President Kamala Harris.
50% commission? 50% commission? For what?
It's our markup for our services. It's our markup for our services.
So if I sell stock,
If
if I sell stock, commission is $5. My commission is $5.
If you sell 10,000
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. Blessings for a prosperous New Year for us. Is there anyone here who would like to make public comment?
what does it look like if we see a blowout victory in California, we see Democratic wins in New Jersey and Virginia, we see a Supreme Court that stays 5-2 in Pennsylvania?
The second major
love that
change
question.
was
It's
the
the right
authorized
question because
financial
it's the one
institutions and broker-dealers,
everyone is going to be compelled to answer, including the Republicans. I think it's very interesting. Here we are on a Saturday.
So where previously the city of Corpus Christi had 2 direct appointments to the NCAP Board of Directors, that obviously has changed.
In New Jersey,
applicants to verify their income, their family size, their immigration status, and their residence before enrolling ensures that you're not going to have people abusing the system and ripping off hard-working taxpayers. Now, Mr. President, that is common sense. Our Democrat colleagues should be working with us to implement more
You asked the question.
I guess we got some. I guess we got some. I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe.
And so what is your response in light of the fact that this is a week where we
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy the Navy led the great naval battles in history to deliver the Normandy the Navy led the greatest armada ever fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy the Navy led the greatest armada ever fought the sailors to the largest invasion force in the world has ever seen. On D-Day, June 6th, 1940, on D-Day, June 6th, 1944, they were elected, and they loved on June 6th, 1944, the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too, the Associated Press, they got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover. Very special thanks to the countless Navy families who support our sailors with such love and devotion.
We consider the item means up there.
So by the item,
he was on a staff before me. He's betraying his own voters. And the word betrayal is a word we use more often about Donald Trump. He's turned his back on his own voters. Red district, red states, disproportionate beneficiaries of everybody celebrating by doubling the tripling of health care because of his record is total disregard for them. His obsession with one
because they can't tell it. In the lead up to this whole fight about whether food assistance may be released to Americans, you have Mike Johnson saying every day that there's nothing we can do. We can't possibly touch the education because we need to make sure that at some arbitrary point in the future that we have a contingency fund, some other emergency, but not this emergency. So they brought this thing into court. There were 2 judges, Rhode Island and Massachusetts, both of whom said that you have to release this fund. This is an emergency just like any other emergency. People are going to go to war right now. And the Trump administration's response to that was to say we're going to appeal it. And so what is your reaction to the fact that even notwithstanding the fact that fighting this battle unto itself is bad enough, when they could have been releasing the funds alone in a contingency fund, but then to go into court and say we're not even going to take yes for an answer, we're not even going to accept the plea that covered the judge, we're going to actually fight this contingency funds to don't go out.
Before these issues get worse.
But, I mean, a lot of it is because one of the leaders on that is very proud of it.
They want to create ways to make their water less water or
said the USDA shall appropriate contingency funds. A lot of includes, by the way, considerations for exactly what occurred in government shutdown. That's literally on September 30th, USDA put out
persuaded the council members
are
Sutley.
available
It
for
is titled
precisely
Walking
that
Form.
use in case there is a government
To my
shutdown.
knowledge,
Only to see
there
that disappear on their
has
website.
been a chance.
And now they're trying to erase government shutdown.
Looking at our nature
Display of Navy dominance. That's what it was. It was dominance and
Why would council
Bravo Zulu. You know what that is? Bravo Zulu. Battles in history. And then it's into our Navy. And the largest naval facilities ever seen in the entire world. And I would say more poignant than the best. Okay, listed at age 18. Norfolk Naval Base. Thank you very much. It's the largest. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix Band and amphibious landing grid.
You look at Luke, you look at Matthew, you look at Proverbs, Old Testament, New Testament. One of the central themes of the Bible. The central themes.
And unlike
the alignment.
President Lee, through
The
your
alignment.
administrations, we will not be
Member Scott Harris,
They can't get along.
Member Summers,
So be intact in his own business, let alone his own faith.
Which does
And so look, to state the obvious, to state a mind
for you to get these people
derangement that he's going to use hunger and
we're in a war, we're
starvation
going to win the
to
war, we're going to
plan
win
to
the
They've already walked away.
during the
They
holidays.
may not have. You're going to go back
As
4 or 5 generations to try to find
as
somebody.
you suggest, no longer created like $350 million monstrosity of 90,000 square foot ballroom where he's demanding $230 million from the American people for some tithing.
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Parizio, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix Band and amphibious landing grid.
Collectively, we do the saying that you're receiving consensus for back in February.
Another project that we're doing as part of this 30 days is the operating script 1 and 2. This isn't really all that. Another project that we're doing as part of this 30 days is the operating script 1 there. This is we're going to reframe it rebuilding information other things. And that allows us to strip out the kind of smaller there into one and reframe functional building much more using that for others. And that allows us to combine two smaller spaces into one much more functional and much more usable larger space.
What you described,
I think we would come down
wake up
for areas that have
20 towers. But here's what we've done. You may recall a week or so ago, I asked you
The council members just talked about this again last week. So one thing is for sure, village part is
that we raise
two
a
spots
little bit more money
skate park.
to then make sure that we have a legal defense team, that we have a rapid response team, that we're monitoring the monitors. We're going to flood the zone in the 5 counties where he's sending zero to monitor their
Commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
4,000, that'd be 40,000 people. Let me lock in that trade right now. Get back to you, Secretary. Exact confirmation. Sound good, John?
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy
Hey, John,
game.
thank you for your vote
Who
of
am I going to root
confidence.
for?
Welcome to the investors.
You may be surprised.
I've watched as you've been especially aggressive in terms of fighting on this topic.
Nobody's like that.
And there were a few folks that came out and said we wanted to practice with government management. And you've been really effective in watching showing why this is not about government, it's about fighting for our country. Preserve. They didn't do it with the smokers. We have been in the California
as achieved by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's going that the Gulf of America has got all the approvals. You have to do that too, because the very liberal Associated Press will get thrown out of the way. That you're almost not allowed to cover.
And so we began the year
in light of that, what do you see say,
we didn't have
seeing
any
the success
projects
we've had in
currently
California, how do you say to somebody who's closely involved in this process?
Well, I hope he feels very differently on Tuesday.
If you prefer not to do a Q&A, and they're willing to do multi-comment hours over here, through the tax increment reinvestment zone program known as TERS, the department helps reinvest in areas like downtown and North Beach with targeted business development and infrastructure programs. These are paid for with tax
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. Sailors and Normandy, the naval battles in history. And in Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force. One of the sailors who did it ever since. One of the sailors who did it listed at age 18, right here in Norfolk. Listed at age 18, trained right here in Norfolk. June 6, 1944, June 6, amphibious landing grid, field expanded, amphibious landing grid.
Industrial Development Corporation. And we also learned that there were some deed restrictions attached to this property when we received it back.
But the reality is,
So
these tools
this was all
have
part of
not working.
Cliff Moss Airport.
right now, and this question isn't the same
support
gravity
the construction of the Texas State
Recognizing
School.
we're trying to fix something that cities everywhere
dedicated
First
the
of all,
land to the
a
state.
big thank you for your work in terms of increasing the tax credit that the film industry has gotten here in California. Now I'm going to be a real big pain in the ass and say that as we look toward what will, if I'm not mistaken, be your last budget next year.
You want more?
I want an uncapped tax credit. And so what's your openness to uncap the tax credit? We just doubled it. Ironically, and I sat here and said how great it was.
We're sending in our National Guard, and we need more than the National Guard.
I can't do that. I can't
We're going to have safe cities. We're not going to have people killed in our
I wasn't able to get all of my time.
Whether people like
otherwise
that or
going
not,
to
they
lose
should
the
be
double
you
50
been
over
watching
7.
what
Unfortunately,
our
more
missiles do to those
So we
ships.
always open our interested in evidence.
He said, no, there was suspicion. The radical left Democrats said,
Oh, he was on the staff that fooled me.
Bill Churchwell was on, we were talking about memories, and I was telling him how my dad was really big in the racing community. He did a lot with like San Antonio Speedway, Corpus Christi Speedway, and we would come down for various races like the late model class, the tug.
So I want to talk about the shutdown that we're in right now. Republicans are trying
Dining more ships. We have more ships being built shortly. We're going to have more great ships being built than we've ever had being built in the history of the Navy.
John, what we'll be giving today is for the 2 months ended November 30th, 2021.
We made a lot of money in the private sector, and I said, you want to do this, John? We need a lot of ships, so we need them fast. And he said, I want to do it. He gave up a lot.
We don't anticipate any.
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. And in Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Mauricio.
They're also now to bring up hunger prices.
Right here in Norfolk, one of the most epic naval battles in history. And at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest landing force the world has ever seen.
$6 billion.
One of the sailors who did it was Felix Mauricio, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. Right here. American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. And at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Mauricio, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. June 6, 1944, field expanded, amphibious landing
So what Republicans crisis? They're also now triggering a hunger crisis. Trump's doing that, halting SNAP benefits, ordering his own Department of Agriculture to rip its own contingency plan. The money's there, over $6 billion.
Of people whom you blame for all the problems facing society. Nothing new. That's what demagogues always do. They are lying. This bill will impact 24 million Americans doubling their health insurance premiums.
Well, you know,
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Parisio, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk.
Type funds can be utilized for projects related to creation and retention of primary jobs, job training, and business military, so retention of military, promotion of military, water supply facilities, and conservation of sports and entertainment, and then business enterprises that create and retain primary jobs. So, like I said, there's a lot of people who
Because one day I'm going to probably the North Carolina wind said that will never happen. I always say walk down the steps nice and slowly. You ever notice it's nice and slowly? I don't have to walk down the steps, walk nice and slowly.
to the community living here. So just wondering
As they trigger a healthcare crisis, they're also now triggering a hunger crisis. Trump's doing that, Baldwin SNAP benefits, ordering his own department the money's there, $6 billion.
I guess we've got some employees maybe from the port that are out there circling the barge and smaller boat.
Tennessee, West Virginia,
They're making sure I'm thinking everything is okay. Exactly who that is.
The proposed development includes 150
I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe.
60% of the area median income. For a family of 4, that's $41,580.
What's the mindset here?
There's a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Total project costs are estimated to be
my name is Marilyn Liz. I live on the island.
If you're saying
When I came here for this project,
a couple months ago,
multifamily revenue was on Castle Library and get my salary.
Next slide shows the location map. This specifically is the parcel of land identified as number 1 on the slide. You can see on the right portion of this slide that the new water line is the thick blue line. And again, what it'll do.
Commander-in-Chief who gave the ship the storied name as Righteous Soul. So, you know, we did the Ford Electric, the cost overruns and everything.
Medicare, they want to privatize
Medicare, but I like Steve to go back
the
to
Veterans
Steve.
Administration.
They changed this
So you
for
got
the
a
sake of
two-thing.
changing.
If you
I
cut
said to
back
the
on
architect,
funding
have you ever
for
designed this ship
Medicaid,
before? You
you can give tax breaks to the very rich and move along toward the privatization of public health in general.
Right, that makes perfect sense. You know, is there no irony in the fact that really at the end of the day, what Democrats are trying to do right now is and I get the incentive for them to want to do this to be able to offset some money for the tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, and to be able to expedite the process of basically dismantling any government healthcare
And they voted to deny exclusion
Medicare, Medicaid, post office, VA, is there no irony in the fact that really what Democrats want to do is save Republicans from themselves? Because if you're Democrats who have healthcare premiums that double and triple, and you've got Republicans who control the House, control the Senate, control the White House, they are the ones that are to blame for what's happening. So the Democrats are sticking their necks out to protect
As they trigger a healthcare crisis, they're also now triggering a hunger crisis. Trump's doing that. Baldwin SNAP benefits. Ordering the own Department of Agriculture to equip its own contingency plan. The money's there. there, over $6 billion.
It is that simple. And the Democrats voted to shut it down more, and they voted to deny food assistance just so you
commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
By the way,
kind of more towards the southern area, like
healthcare crisis.
those areas
Also
that we're
now
looking
bring a
for.
hunger crisis.
Looking at future land use maps, like council just approved some master plans. The kind of corridor CIDs to kind of the identified area for development. So we didn't have any projects currently mapped.
That is illegal. It is
People in the world
how we normally do it. We got to deal with that reality right now. ICE Act is illegal all over the and American citizens. If the military American do it,
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. The most epic naval battles in history. The greatest Norman and Navy led the greatest single line ever fought. One of the single largest invasions ever seen. The world, one of the sailors did it. One of the sailors did it was Felix, enlisted in age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. Trained right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, June 6th, D-Day, 1944, landing band, amphibious landing grid.
But we're going to vote for the Democrats. This is the moment.
Democrats,
What is happening now
with everyone. They voted that way.
We're in the process of hiring consultants as well.
Just so y'all
Hopefully
they wanted to make sure that they rubbed it into the face more than it does.
Do a little bit more work.
To even make a
It's a
deal
pretty,
that,
it's a very comprehensive
that
strategy.
by not making a deal, he gets to have what he wants on
Very,
the
very
front.
talented
All of
people.
the
Nobody
that healthcare waste that
embodies
consistent
skill
wayfinding
and
brand.
nerve and swagger
And as you were saying before,
the
it's that
attitude like
something
the
minds
U.S.
of
Naval.
Well, at the same time, he also benefits from the fact that now he views himself as unburdened, unleashed when it comes to being able
That's
to
why
fire
I'm
people
here,
when
not
he gets
someone else.
involved
I
in
didn't
thrust
need
votes.
this.
No.
I didn't need the whole
That's what
damn
they've been
job.
doing from day one. What do you
Please take note.
Well, they don't
Whichever
believe
IN or tax ID number is required for this form.
Again, they do what they
actually
do.
have the notice of that on the bottom. So if there's any questions, I'll take those at this time.
I'd like to look at some statistics from the Society Association. On average,
Shut down to Cole's Head Start program. I have never given away this. I've never shut down and just small business owners as losses of billions. Leaders, industry leaders beg Congress to clean CR.
I think we are in a very, very strong
ongoing correct,
and I hope very much the Democrats will hold strong.
So I was just going to say like 35%.
Talk for a moment about the depravity of the fact that these Republicans were so hell-bent on making sure that they don't have to take responsibility for their own policy decision. And so in order to insulate themselves, they're saying, okay, you know what, it's not that, we have a billionaire stopping else away. What you should really be worried about is this completely bogus, made-up notion that illegal brown people over here are why you're not getting your health care.
And
They deflect off of themselves onto people who, by the way, don't even benefit from the thing that they're claiming they benefit from, which is, subsidized health care.
Taxes, by the way, for programs that benefit.
Correct.
Everyone. Now, one thing that needs to be understood is
Preston, I know you can hear me. I'm not going to get off of your shot for the foreseeable future on our streaming trial because it's got such a great vantage point of the entire thing.
I think when we talk about
One side not going down faster than the other, you're right at the level. I know as we've been watching at nighttime, we're seeing sparks flying around these metals, getting shot there, shot there. I'm not an
On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix Band and amphibious landing trip.
And our job is exactly your point is very important. I don't want to do the best job they can do.
Democrats voted and they voted Democrats to shut down. And they voted to deny million Americans. And they voted that Americans. And they don't that.
Clean and more modern and more pleasing in our environment. So these investments were also very significant, even though they seem to be just relatively, fairly easy cosmetic changes. They're still really good investments in keeping the venue modernized and looking good. Next slide, please. We also completed some security enhancements, which included keyless entry throughout the building, which is a great investment. This is leveraging, which is pretty common technology now, getting us out of the business of having
And they voted to deny, just so y'all, 242, they wanted to make sure that
shutdown.
and they voted that.
$14 billion lost.
Voted to take food just so they wanted to make sure that Democrats voted to
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. American sailors at Normandy, the Navy naval battles in history. They stabilized the Christi Armada, and at Normandy, the Navy led the largest armada ever wanted to deliver a single largest invasion force. 3 sailors enlisted at age 18 and 20 sailors enlisted at age 18. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, June 6, and 1944, June 6, 1944, amphibious naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. Shut down. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix fought the most amphibious battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force. One of the sailors ever seen 18 on D-Day, June 6, 1944, June 6, and D-Day for Felix June 6, 1944, Felix
business owners
amphibious landing
just so y'all didn't get confused.
leaders, industry leaders, beg Congress,
More than
plain CR.
So the ground is not absorbing all that
Ongoing
water. We're
government.
losing a lot of it.
Staffing shortages, Meyer Air Travel is shut down, stretches out.
And during
Quote,
that council meeting,
government
a lot of business
shutdown
is being
threatens to
conducted.
delay home
and
Democrats
we just want to make sure
for
the
millions.
message-
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix on D-Day, June 6, 1944, Navy led the greatest armada ever forged in the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors Felix Parisia, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk.
Healthcare. They're also now in a hunger crisis.
June 6, 1944, Felix Mann, amphibious landing craft.
Who gets ordering his own Department of Agriculture. And as they trigger a healthcare crisis, they're also now money's a hunger crisis. $6 billion. Trump's doing that. Alton SNAP benefits. They're ordering his own Department of Agriculture.
The chances of
$6 billion.
Successful shutdown. We're not good.
Let's start program this week.
I have to be careful because one day I'm going to shut down.
Small business owners.
No,
Shut down to close Head Start.
I guess we got some shut down maybe from the porch out there, circling the barge and thinking everything's all good. I don't know exactly what that is.
Ongoing shut down to close Head Start program this week. In fact, shut down crushes small business owners as losses hit billions. Leaders, industry leaders, they comment
more than a dozen.
landed at 2 a.m. Ongoing
I don't understand. You're admitting evidence of a flight that never existed.
Where you can learn all about our water resources. You can
Defense will be calling Airman Cecil O'Malley and Airman Anthony Rodriguez.
Forecast on our water supply.
For the remaining part of that
tells
fiscal
you
year.
what our lake levels are at. It tells
Remember
you also
back,
what conditions.
36, we had some.
Well, he and I talked about this quite a bit over the weekend, multiple times. The president is desperate for SNAP benefits to flow to the American citizens.
Along with the high freezes, we used to have
It is in accordance with the UDC Section 8
found creative solutions
for city participation in streets and drainage cross sections.
Secretary Rollins
Okay, and then
explained.
president ordinance
We had no
authorizing
clue what the hell was president.
It was
We had no
understood.
chance to know those epic naval battles and initiatives. The Navy led the greatest armada ever forged. I have to be careful because one day I'm going to invasion. I have to be careful because one day I'm going to North Carolina. The North Carolina. I always say walk down the steps. I always say walk down the steps. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix Mann, amphibious landing craft.
City manager appointees are opposite.
Each council member gets one opportunity. They're not voted on, they're just appointed by the council member.
He would come down for various
Democrats voted to take food off the table and voted to
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's voted against it, but it's an appointee if it's their appointee.
Democrats voted to shut
So you have a picture.
just so you
I guess we've got some. They're out there circling your barge and making sure I'm thinking everything's
We're not good.
I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is
I have to be
safe.
careful because one day I'm going to probably no, the North Carolina women said that will never happen. I always say walk down the steps. What the hell happened last night? The chances of at the bottom of the stairs walk nice. We're not good. I have to be careful because one day I'm going to probably no, the North Carolina women said that will never happen. I always say walk down the steps nice and slow. You ever notice you're not working all the time? I don't have to pop down the stairs. Walk nice and slowly.
Because the capital almost begins in just 2 days. And Republicans have spent the entire shutdown with their heads in the sand to shut down big calls because they would not accept
And so we began the year
Republicans are providing families who can getting there.
and it's been a short period
This week,
Small business owners, as losses hit billions,
Our Democrat colleagues
leaders, industry leaders beg Congress
to implement
clean
more
CR.
Everybody wants to know what my opinion is.
Ongoing
My opinion
government
is irrelevant. I understand desperate
Everything that
times call for
exists,
desperate measures.
it would cut back on
I also
irrigation
understand
dams,
that traditionally
cut back
we've seen
on maintenance of parks. If you put a good sized but within a good budget, a decent budget,
As much as I had wanted to
for the
look
city
for
of
President, we have no clue what the hell was happening. The chances of him walking down those stairs successfully were not good. And I have to be careful because one day I'm going to probably fall. No, the North Carolina women said that will never happen. I always say walk down the steps nice and slow. You ever know it's a nice. I don't have to bop down. I just walk nice and slow. But we
Democrats voted to shut down that, and they voted to deny shutting down, and they voted to deny millions of Americans, and they voted that Americans, and they voted that just so you know, they wanted to make sure that they rubbed it into the face more than a dozen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's voted against anybody's.
Oh, he was on a staff and told me.
Who maintain the process.
I think most postmen,
plumbers,
they see our ads in the back of Hustler and Popular Mechanics, and our ads actually say they can get rich quick. Hustler? Yeah. You know the girly night thing? Yeah.
Government shutdown.
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Louisiana,
As losses
enlisted at
hit
age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix manned an amphibious landing craft.
government shutdown to lead to $14 billion in losses.
The calendar year 2024.
Shutdown controls health programs this week.
Improvements to the American Base Center. And if it was set within the calendar year 2024 does become first year, and then we would be able to receive this revenue as it's generated from the base year. We are going to be working to go back and recalculate those projections and what this would create a rate over a 30-year period. When we ran our last calculations, it was with the assumption of
Small business owners, as losses hit billions, leaders, industry leaders beg Congress to clean CR.
They wanted to make sure that they rubbed it in his face more than a dozen.
Consistent home life and gave me an opportunity to go to school. When I was a teenager, I lost both my parents.
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Louisiana, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk, trained right here. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix manned an amphibious landing craft. He's been incredible, so thank you very much. You gave up a lot. We appreciate it. Thank you. And unlike past administrations, we will not be politically correct. You don't mind that? All right. When it comes to defending the United States, we're no longer politically correct. We're going to defend our country any way we have to. And that's usually not the politically correct way. From now on, if we're in a war, we're going to win the war. We're going to win it.
Good to be back.
Definitely
I'm
not
sure I'm
the appropriate one of the bridge from
Back in the White House, I deployed the men and women of the White House to stop the invasion.
That bridge always meant just about
to stop the invasion on our southern border. Thousands of people fentanyl into drugs, and now we have to
Right, it's like we're getting out of the way, maybe.
Now we have to
Not at all squared up.
zero. For 5 months, they said to zero. They came in to a legal process. They came in to a legal process. It's hard to believe that. Can you imagine? Even I can't. It's hard to believe that.
Know this, we will never give up on the idea of fighting for what is right, what is just, and what is fair. Vote no on this disaster and end this project now. Thank you for your time.
Come on, they didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say in the Gulf of America. Yeah, it's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that really big hit. So I'm very...
The exercise because Governor Abbott's office announced the appointment of Chief Wade to the Texas Commission on Fire Protection. And Chief Wade's appointment is to complete a term that is set to expire in February, so he'll have from September 4th through February. And we were just talking a few minutes ago, and we expect that he'll be nominated again for the full term, which is a 6-year term in February. And so then the governor could consider a reappointment for a longer term. But
so after the 2 years, then it falls on the city's responsibility. Correct. All right, thank you.
Okay, please submit your vote.
Because in 3 days.
Drop.
Generally,
Type A and both Type A and Type B funds can be utilized for projects related to creation or retention of primary jobs, job training, infrastructure, military, so retention of military or promotion of military, water supplies, facilities, and conservation programs, affordable housing, recreation or community facilities, and this is where some of the sports and entertainment complexes fall, and then business enterprises that create or retain primary jobs. So, like I said, there's a lot of nuances. I have about 5 or 6
It's from NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, who was traveling with the president in South Korea. Gabe, we heard videos from the president who described their relationship. What was the last thing he said was discussed?
Because every day, this White House offers up a threat to bad news. Lawlessness and recklessness, mean-spiritedness, just plain craziness.
Jerry.
We got a president who thinks it's okay to use the Justice Department to go after his political opponents.
That's why everyone wants to vote for us. I'll tell you what, we have a long lead on this submarine
compared to an object that's not. So we'll keep looking at that and watch it come down over the next 15 minutes or so. And again, the estimate was 4:30. I watched got 4:17.
The chances of
so
him walking down
roughly
those
13 minutes out from this thing coming down. I'm going to switch over to the Lex cam again.
And I have to be careful because one day I'm going to...
You can't even see from this angle. You cannot see any.
No, the North Carolina women said that will never happen to you. I always say, walk down the steps nice and slow. You ever notice I do nice? I don't have to bop down the stairs. Walk nice and slowly. But we...
He's deploying the National Guard in American cities, claiming to stop crime waves that don't actually exist.
Well, you didn't tell us that. That's what I was asking.
We've got masked ICE agents pulling up in unmarked vans and grabbing people, including U.S. citizens, off the streets on the suspicion that they don't look like real Americans. We've got an HHS secretary who opposes proven science.
Previously, and obviously now that there's more money in there, and you guys are promoting
Chief
it,
Burko did it.
it's going to be a more utilized program.
Secret Service was failed, and I gave a news conference. It's a safe place now. Washington, D.C. is always going to be the nation's capital. Is always going to be safe. We're never going to let that happen again. What happened there? One of the most beautiful places. We're doing a beautification program and testing very short.
Bank Center, all the other 5 buildings behind, and then have a more even narrow focus on the building footprint, just the American Bank Center, which are behind it, and then add to it a community-wide appeal, which is somewhat the consensus. And then Heather said it, but just to repeat it again, we've met
Was it for another reason? He was released one way. The final contract, the version, I'm familiar with what we had given both entities and what they both submit, and so I'm not sure what other document there could be, but those were both given the same percentages in the draft version of the contract. It's the public. You can go to the city's website right now and still see the open solicitation and see those documents attached, and it still includes the 25.
Gas prices. And the difficulty of affording a home,
set property tax rate,
and worries about their children's future, and so they were willing to take
people who live or those
take a
property
chance.
owners within the TERS already
Now,
pay. And
9 months later,
that property taxes goes
you got to ask
the
yourself,
TERS instead of going to this.
Free health care for illegal immigrants.
Health care. And when that didn't work, they resorted to lying, just making up total lies about who gets the health care and who doesn't. And as they trigger a health care crisis, they're also now triggering a hunger crisis. Trump's doing that, halting SNAP benefits, ordering its own Department of Agriculture with its own contingency plan. The money's there, over $6 billion in the budget.
We have to. From now on, we're in a war. We're going to win the war. We're going to win it.
Well-connected corporations who've seen their tax bills go down and don't have to worry about all
Action because we thought it was our property, and then we learned that no, this is actually the property of the Industrial Development Corporation, and we also learned that there were some deed restrictions that attached to this property when we received it back from the state. So this was all part of the old Cliff Moss Airport, and to support the construction of the Texas State School, we dedicated the land to the state.
So we'll keep looking at that.
This is probably the best way to watch it right now over the next so now we're having to wait longer
15 minutes or so. And again, the estimate was 4:30 on my watch. I've got 4:07.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a
so
smile.
roughly 13 minutes out from this coming down. I'm going to switch over
The Gulf of
to the
America
left
now, and
hand
nobody's playing
again.
games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit.
Shut down those Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing
We signed
Shut down crushes small business owners as losses hit billions.
I sympathize with the thought
Leaders, industry leaders beg
who had no clue what the hell was happening. The chances of him walking down those stairs
Regarding the Great Steps potential
we're not good.
flood control projects, is there any plans or
I have to be careful because one day I'm going to probably fall. No, the North Carolina women say that will never happen.
It's more mitigating.
I always say walk down the steps. Nice
during the master plan.
I don't have to bop down the stairs. Walk nice and
The amount
slowly.
of acreage that we need for like a regional detention is kind of astronomical for this area of Oso Creek. And
the application in, and then we have time to do the discussion.
The point is, there is absolutely no evidence Republican policies have made life better for you, the people of Virginia. I mean, they devoted enormous energy.
Say hello to your daughter, right? Anyway, so thank you very much. And just in conclusion, every sailor here today inherits a legacy of valor. And unlike and glorious administration, we will not be
I guess we got some employees maybe from the port. They're out there circling the barge in a littler, smaller boat. They're making sure I'm thinking everything is all good. I don't know exactly who that is or what but I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe.
They have not put forward serious proposals to lower housing costs, to make groceries more affordable. They haven't improved our schools. They haven't made healthcare more accessible. They haven't shortened your commute or prepared young people for the future where AI might take their job.
The CDHP.
And all the nonsense we see on the news every day, the over-the-top rhetoric, the fabricated conspiracies, the weird videos of a U.S. president with a crown on his head flying a fighter jet and dumping
Housing Finance Corporation. Anyways, we do use it every once in a while when it benefits us. But the truth is there aren't any more apartments in the city except we have 3 years back, 6 months back. So
I have to be careful because one day I'm going to possibly
that's right.
No, they can North Carolina would have said that would never happen.
I do have a concern.
I always say walk down the steps nice and slowly. I don't have to pop down that says walk nice and slowly.
They may have a shed on there. They may have
take that into consideration.
So does this pertain to those two?
The weapons or the public everyone wants to buy additional. I'll tell you what, we have a long lead on his submarines.
And the good news is,
we are so far advanced that
you can do about it.
Perhaps 20, 25 years. We're 25 years ahead of any competition.
Right now.
And not only are the
because you got a candidate for governor who's got a track record of getting stuff done. And unlike
getting close too.
We will not be with you and knows your struggles and will fight for you every day.
And I guess we've got some
trying to point America in a better direction.
Some employees maybe from the port. They're out there circling the barge in a littler, smaller boat. They're making sure I'm thinking everything is all good. I don't know exactly who that is or who they're with, but I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe.
Now listen, Abigail doesn't go around bragging about herself all the time, talking about how I'm great. But she's great.
Thank you.
As a former federal law enforcement officer, as a CIA case officer working on counterterrorism, she knows what it takes to keep communities safe.
About is Alma at Greenwood. The proposed development includes 152 rental units, all for households at or below 60% of the area median income. For a family of 4, that's $41,580. There's a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Funding sources for this project include multi-family revenue
Several times since in front of legislative bodies to evaluate the work that the city of Corpus Christi is doing. So this conference provides that important opportunity to make sure we stay in touch with statewide.
It's really, there's not a lot of hoops to go through.
Okay. Member Hernandez and Councilmember Suckley. It is titled Walking Quorum.
Well, this way we have managed
there
since the 1300s.
There has not been a challenge to the appeals court ruling signed my cousin
But we need to be
Why
peaceful
would
at
Councilmember
our border.
Pugsley send this?
Clean and more modern and more pleasing in our environment. So these investments were also very significant, even though they seem to be just relatively, fairly easy cosmetic changes. They're still really good investments in keeping the venue modernized and looking good. Next slide, please. We also completed some security enhancements, which included keyless entries throughout the building, which is a great investment in leveraging, which is pretty common technology now, getting us out of our business and having
Shutdown to close Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing.
And if they do, the American sheriff stands ready.
Shutdown crushes small business owners as losses hit billions. Leaders, industry leaders, very targets to claim CR. Ongoing window
That's a terrible president.
We have no clue what the hell was happening. President. The chances of him what the hell was there. The chances of him not being successful. But I have to be careful because one day I'm gonna probably. I have to be careful because one day I'm gonna. No, the North Carolina women said that will never happen. No, the North Carolina women said that will never happen. You ever know? I always say walk down the steps. They didn't do it. I don't have to walk down. It says walk nice. The Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. The Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. So, in fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm very.
When someone asks her apparently about all the federal workers inspired by this administration, given how important that is to Virginia, apparently Abigail's opponent said,
I asked for the exercise because when I saw what you saw, I said we need to reduce the fee. When they showed me the debt service, it kind of upset me because like you're saying, the operating.
But they didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They just said the Gulf of America. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press. Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. The judge got sued by the Associated Press. He's got all the lost. You have to do that too. He's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. In fact, you have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. So they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm good.
Warehouses used to be and just be filled with the visuals of how
Good job. But they didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. We had to get that Gulf of America. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. So I'm very.
That's right. Trying to get the blood boiling. I do have a concern, so we brought up suggestions, and y'all act.
A governor who will create jobs and not cut them, and who will lower costs instead of raising them, and who will bring people together instead of dividing them, and who will do what's right for the people of Virginia, no matter what anybody in Washington thinks. You deserve a governor like Abigail. Stand up.
Any night of the week and on the weekend. And in the morning on Tuesday, Councilman Lunsford.
Instead of going to the general operations.
Wonderful.
I'm not sure I'm the appropriate one.
When you were looking
he can answer it. So what we're doing is because we
I'm going to bring him down here.
So we're working to try to get more interest. Right? We had one bid, especially because this is a design build. So the designer is going to be
because at the end of the day,
Right, so
we had selected
What this election is about.
that way everybody had their turn to say, ideas coming in.
What politics and democracy is always about.
Understand. And we brought them down from 150 2 years ago.
Right. So, really,
What do we care
I'm going to
about?
look to you and Heather.
What do we
to
believe?
Really get us in more in
Second.
alignment.
What do we
with
prioritize?
We have a second.
those numbers
Okay.
should be.
Understand.
What are our core?
About they didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say in the Gulf of America.
Breaking the ice.
It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approval. You have to do that too to the very liberal Associated Press that got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover this because of that.
So, when we're talking about
that are going undone. So I'm curious, is there, I think other cities do something where there may be like...
Also bringing peace to the world. On Sunday in
I'm worried about how
Malaysia,
willing
we signed
Republican
the...
Will be paid from net cash flow, deferred 3%.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say in the Gulf of America.
even when they know
It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games. We got sued by all the Associated Press. He's got all the approval. You have to do that to the Associated Press. He's got all the approval. You have to do that for
And that's what
they didn't do it with a smoke or a Well, the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approval. You have to do that too. They're almost not allowed to cover it. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approval.
Just to repeat it again.
You have to do that too to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit.
Made those decisions.
So I'm very...
We'd be really up here.
But what I also tell people when they ask me about this, what I also try to remind them,
As you know, Mike,
is that America's always had competing stories about who we are and what this nation stands for.
a few years, I'm not talking about for 6, 7
The first story says, we the people, just means some of us. That in order to qualify,
Our lines that are
you have to be the right color,
people here
or
who
come
made
from
our
the right
home.
family.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say in the Gulf of America.
As you said,
No,
meeting
it's
with
called the Gulf
everyone.
of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that.
The state.
It was a big hit.
This was all part of the
So, I'm
Texas
very-
Airport, and to support the construction of the Texas State School, we dedicated the land to the state.
I'm a grandparent kid, a great-grandparent kid, actually.
Meeting with everyone.
Really blessed to be raised by my great-grandparents who ran an adult daycare center really close to the homeless neighborhood.
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Maurizio, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. Just right here. American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force the world has ever seen. One of the sailors who did it was Felix Maurizio, who enlisted at age 18 and trained right here in Norfolk. Right here. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Felix manned an amphibious landing craft.
We have absentees by my great-grandparents that are really close to the Hillcrest neighborhood.
Properties.
When I was a kid, I would always beg my nanny to take me for a walk to the cemetery because I was a little freak and still kind of am. But I remember even growing up, I mean, I'm 30 years old, I remember as a kid
runs
through the eyes
to the students on top of what we pay them has helped me to offer competitive
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history. Naval battles in history. The Navy led the greatest armada, the largest invasion, single largest invasion force as our world. One of the sailors who did it. One of the sailors who did it. Felix Maurizio, arrested right here in Norfolk. Right here in Norfolk. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, amphibious landing grip.
Corporation. And we also attached to this property shifted back the state. So this was all part of the Cliff Moss Airport, and to support the construction of the Texas State School, we dedicated the land to the state.
With the fee for services, we looked at the hourly rates for our firefighters, the officers, the drivers, the battalion chiefs.
American sailors fought the most epic naval battles in history, and at Normandy, the Navy led the greatest armada ever formed to deliver the single largest invasion force
generate about $31.6 million. And there is no defined end date or expiration date.
On D-Day, June 6, 1944,
and it's still generated about $71.2 million to use general yes, and that is used for general
Because I've said from the beginning, and I'll continue to say, when we get ready to go back to the
treatment is 4 times a year. So why not?
Previous record, if we believe in that medicine,
Botox effects will spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away to start swallowing, speaking,
and who will take responsibility and tackle our problems. Instead of burying them apart, we need leaders who will But here's the thing.
Leaders heading off to their bilateral meeting. And for NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, who is traveling with the president in South Korea. Gabe, we heard optimism from the president. He was describing their relationship as cordial. We've heard optimism leading up to this. What is the last thing he said was going to be discussed before this bilateral has now started?
Things only happen from the top down. That a few people in power make decisions, and the rest of us have to live with the consequences. But real change has always come from the bottom up.
There being no one, we'll close public hearing and move on to item number 13, which is a resolution authorizing a developer participation agreement with LSK Development.
So it's up to us
Oh, he was on a staff. It fooled me.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Council. Mike Dice, Development Services. What we have is participation agreement for developing states for the
treating other people the way we
had a competitive bidding requirement.
Thank you, Ms.
Government shutdown could lead to $14 billion in lost GDP, the Congressional Budget Office reports. Shutdown could close Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing health. Shutdown crushes small business owners as losses hit billions. Industry leaders beg Congress for clean CR.
Ongoing government deployed the men and women of the United States military to stop the invasion on our southern border. Right? It was an invasion. Hundreds of thousands of people present. They have no clue what the hell was happening. The chances of him walking down those stairs successfully were not good.
I think that the American banks are
because one day I'm going to need to properly they didn't do what's down there. I always say, walk down the steps of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press. They didn't do it with the States. The judge was so mad, he's throwing it to the office. He's got all the people now, and nobody has to do that too. We got sued by the Associated Press. One and only U.S. The judge was so good, he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the people. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. I'm going to be at your army. They're almost not allowed to cover me anymore. Who am I going to root for? A big hit. So you may be surprised.
Corpus Christi.
Right.
And a big storm surge of that.
And there's one thing history has
Connection VETH for CAC for app
The most
deactivated.
important office in democracy is not president or even governor. It's the office of citizen.
Into our bays.
We
Base 108, 110, whatever the numbers is. How does it work? How does it work before that
We
happens?
just have to use it.
I mean, we're sending guys out the door today, potentially getting FEMA reimbursement
The
up to
chances of him
106.
walking down those stairs.
You know, so the question becomes, is where does that money go?
But I have to be careful because one day I'm going to probably fall.
Yeah, we really did.
The North Carolina woman said that would never happen. I always say, walk down the steps nice and slow. You ever notice you do nice? I don't have to bop down the steps. Walk nice and slow. But we
on that same area.
But despite having a totally grossly incompetent guy, we have
Government shutdown
we blow through it.
could lead to $14 billion in lost
Inflation has been defeated.
the Congressional
Workers'
Budget Office.
wages are raising at the fastest pace.
Shutdown could close Head Start programs this week, jeopardizing health. Shutdown crushes small business owners as losses hit billions. Industry leaders beg Congress for clean CR. Ongoing government program.
He can answer. So what we're doing is because I'm not sure I'm the appropriate one. Yeah, we can. I'm not sure I'm the appropriate one. Yeah, we can. He can answer. So what we're doing is the design. I'll answer to try to get more interest. We're working.
I'm Erin Delaney. I'm the Leverhulme Professor of Comparative Constitutional Law at UCL and the inaugural Director of the Global Center for Democratic Constitutionalism. Welcome.
Perfect weather for a
The Global
project
Center
like
for
this
Democratic
today.
Constitutionalism came into being in 2024.
through the generosity of the labor.
So what I'm looking at here, just from this perspective that Preston's got, you see the 9 in the background. We're going to be able to use that 9 as a reference point as it gets lower and lower and lower. So it seems like it may not be moving, right? And right now it's not. But as this...
What does this mean? Sounds good to me. Of our climate change, lethal pandemics, mass migration, low security.
And we learned this from this is actually industrial development corporation. And we also learned that there were some deed restrictions attached to this property when we received it back from the state. So this was all part of the old Cliff Moss Airport. And to support the construction of the Texas State School, we dedicated the land to the state.
Other properties that I've actually dealt with
I'll be on the 6th floor conference room.
So this is optional, but
we do recommend that you consider a new candidate or returning candidate. It's a senior refresher on President city policies. They're going to provide a good foundation
Everybody loves the community. So it's a great honor. I've been working on
and questionable finances.
We've had a lot of terrifically talented people. We've had tremendous support from the celebrating. Everybody celebrating. Everybody loves the deal.
That is a 64% fatality.
Egypt, as you know, was all finalized. Indonesia, I mean, for our anybody else. We've had tremendous support from UAE,
it's a break glass moment. So we here at the CCPD, we're committed to academic research
over to the type B board for consideration. This is a little bit unique in the way that a lot of times the economic development corporations in other cities are not managed by a third party. Either they have their own staff that is managed on board, or it is managed usually by city staff. And so we began the year with $8 million in funds, estimated $248 expenditures year to date, leaving us in an unfunded balance.
And back then, student members had our center hail from 10 countries from North America, South America, Africa, Europe, and Asia. We have studied, taught,
Those who are making decisions,
we are collaborative, we aspire to even more. So, but wanting more about the center, please do. Our work is very important. Support us if you can, and take a postcard and explore our website to find out more about what we're doing. Tonight marks an inaugural event for the state of the United States.
It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the rules. You have to do that too. It's the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the rules. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press who got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that.
Thank you both for being here.
So I'm very...
We can't change anything for the Type B Corporation. Currently, we can't change any of that until 2028.
Andrew Weissman is professor of practice at NYU, New York University, and he is this term's distinguished visitor here at he served prosecutor in Robert Mueller's special counsel's office from 2017 to 2019, and in the fraud section of the Department of Justice from 2015 to 2017. He was also the general counsel of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, from 2011 to 2013. Professor Weissman is the co-host of a popular podcast, Made Justice, and a frequent legal analysis on television for NBC and MSNBC. His memoir about the special Where Law Ends, the Sean Mueller investigation, was a New York Times bestseller. We've been very fortunate to have Andrew with us in Seattle this month, and we look forward to engaging with him more over the term. And now, Andrew, the floor is yours to introduce us. Thank you.
Which is a nonprofit association primarily focused on
Thank you very much, Aaron. I know, Jack, you're coming from Washington, which is the land of acronyms to make you feel at home here. Welcome to the GCDC at UCL. Your biography is very well known in the United States, but maybe less so to this audience, so bear with me while I go through it, and then we'll start our conversation. So, Jack was a graduate of Harvard Law School. He was a career prosecutor, and the unusual
Industrial Development Corporation.
Your background is that
we also learned that
today's workshop, beginning there, of what is the type A, type B anyway, and the boards that are appointed, what governments that they have to follow, state rules that we have to follow, the use of the sales tax. That's the first part of the presentation. And then the second part would be the baseline concepts for these two sales tax that the council collectively agreed to. There was no vote per se, but it seemed the consensus of the council back in February.
And then they flooded the lower compartments.
As I mentioned, Jack started here as district attorney.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. The Gulf of America. It's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approval. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. Really big hit. So I'm very
Chairwoman has spoken several times recently in legislative bodies about the work that Justice Christi is doing. So this conference provides an opportunity to make sure that we stay in touch with their residents of Hillcrest. And so if I can wrap up here, I would just say, please, you needed that, you should go without saying, but unfortunately,
now this is something that the Democrats did in 2021.
Absolutely.
The Biden COVID credit eliminated the 400% income tax, allowing households that are making over
as I mentioned, Jack, the type B consideration.
This is a little bit unique in the way that a lot of times the economic development corporations in other cities are using the regulatory authority, or they have raised that
Remember, a little time today to live, learn, and play.
Back to the United States with the first combination of number 2, and then the number 1 in the U.S. Attorney's Office, that's the federal office in Tennessee. You went back to the ICC and stayed there for about 4 years, and then you got the phone call.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say the Gulf of America.
And that is
it's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown
about training, infrastructure, military, so the military, inclusion military, water supplies, facilities, and conservation programs, affordable housing, recreational community facilities, and this is where some of the sports and entertainment complexes fall, and then business enterprises that create or retain permanent jobs. So, like I said, there's a lot of nuances. I have about 5 or 6
This was all part of Cliff Moss Airport, and to support the construction of Texas State Schools, we dedicated the land to the state.
Background in today's workshop, beginning background into what is the type A beginnings anyway, and what is the type A type B anyway, and governance, and the boards that are appointed, and what government state rules that we have to follow, and use of the state rules that we have to follow, and use of the cell. And then the second part will be the baseline, and then the second concept will be these two baseline concepts will these two collectively there was collectively back in February.
Let's try it for a short period of time. But the reality is, we have these tools and they're not working. I'm another player. I don't feel a lot of hope for it, but I recognize that they're trying to fix something that cities everywhere are grappling
Would you expect a pretty good vote?
Vote no on this disaster and end this project now.
So I did, as Andrew said, I did 2 stints outside the United States. The first, I was
one side not going down faster than the other, just keeping it very stable.
What I did there,
I know as we've been watching at nighttime, we've seen sparks flying around as metal's getting cut, the workers up there just disassembling everything, but really cool perspective. And I'm not an engineer either, so I'm not going to know exactly what's going on, but you see a guy up there watching all of it get lowered, and the perspective is amazing. When you see
who wasn't getting paid. Some President Trump found ways to get paid, others there weren't.
Designs
Same thing, but the president worked overtime. Look at what the president did work.
$356,000 during the development, and then from 24 to 34.
Commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, Corporation, founded a naval school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. naval academy.
Covers all costs of operation.
And I'm going to be at your Honor. Who am I going to read? You may be seeing our southern border.
Is there
Losing hundreds of thousands of people to drugs, and now we have the most secure border in America.
that job,
For 5 months,
all
they said
responsibilities for everything
zero.
from
No people came into our
managing the
country
budget,
illegally. They came
deciding
in
how we
through
invested
a legal process.
and I participated in the subdivision personally.
Even I can't. It's hard to believe that.
This is a lot of big issue
Bridging that gap.
So I'm sure we'll see Christopher.
Additional city manager appointees are opposite. So each council member gets one appointee, they're not voted on, they're just appointed by that council member.
and that's right.
Yeah, they're just appointed.
That's something to do with last job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's voted against anybody's appointee if it's their appointee.
To help
Get Park Rasmussen off of there. No, I'm kidding.
And in that job, I also, in addition to investigating
finalized
cases,
and done.
when the cases went to court, I
We've had a lot of
participated in the trials
terrifically
as well. I
talented
did the
people.
opening statements, the
We've
closing
had
statements,
tremendous support
the first 2 trials. So it was kind of
UAE, Saudi Arabia,
everything I'd learned from doing this for
Qatar's
25 odd
Everything that
years,
exists,
put in play.
it would cut back on irrigation.
Display of Davy Dominance said that's what it was. It was dominance and Bravo Zulu. You know what that is? Bravo Zulu. You know, a lot of people don't. That it's a true honor to be here with the thousands of our nation's finest sailors at the largest naval facility in the entire world. It's the largest And I would say more importantly, it's the best, okay? It's about the Norfolk Naval Base, thank you very much. The largest and it's
billions. Industry leaders is break ongoing
larger question. I think it was kind of one of the things that was a little concerning about if
I guess we've got some
shift to your side,
maybe from the board are out there circling the charge and they're making sure I'm thinking everything is all good, exactly how that is, or I'm assuming it's just to make sure everything is safe.
So I have no clue whatsoever. The chances of him walking down those stairs successfully were not good.
Endangered species.
And I have to be careful because one day I'm going to probably fall.
Consistent.
No, the North Carolina woman said that would never happen.
When I went based on,
I always say walk down the steps nice and slow. You ever know
and they, one of
I
those
don't have to bop down. I says walk nice and slow.
a situation where a very unstable situation, being asked to be a leader in places into a stable situation. So it's kind of how it's stable unstable. So what I learned from that is that when I got to July in high school,
And then vote on.
when I went overseas, nobody was
Move that we reconsider the item.
Senior White House
First, we need to reconsider the item we're saying.
We heard
Move that we reconsider the item. So by the item we're saying.
how to move big cases forward. And this was kind of a reaffirming principle and a practical solution. From your first day as a prosecutor, one of the things
pricing included in anything that they submitted a statement of qualifications, and that's what they were graded on. Sure.
And that's because
he was on a staff that fooled me.
In the private industry. Sorry, sir. So I just find this really strange, and it's not like every day
Opportunity right now to bring back a highly positive and healthy sport to our community and all of South Texas. We've been in contact with Parks and Rec to explore the potential of the Adopt a Park program, and we're committed to do whatever it takes to collaborate with the city to restore the former track located at Salinas Park to an operating USA BMX sanctioned racetrack. I brought a video today of footage I've collected over the past year to give you an idea of what the sport is all about and what we can.
411? Yeah, Tito. I'll study with Lover. Okay, I'll call him.
Is continuously improving.
Part of this final scope.
Back in the White House, I deployed the men and women of the United States military to stop the invasion on our southern border. Right? It was an invasion, losing hundreds of thousands of people to fentanyl and to drugs, and now we have the most secure border in American
laboratory charges.
For 5 months, they said zero, no people.
Nick Winkleman, Director of Water Systems.
They came in through a legal process.
So we CCPD operates a water laboratory.
Even I can't.
It's at the Owen
it's hard to
Stevens
believe
Water
that.
Treatment Plant. We have internal customers and external customers. This ordinance updates our fees for each of the
At Weldon Smith Elementary School, ESV 1417, working off of
So just
Jimenez will be our new vice president.
Thank you.
All right, last, I'm going to open the floor for nominations for secretary. Do I have any nominations?
I mean, we lag on when we present financials.
Who would like
And
to?
then we have the,
I'd like to nominate
$500 million
Mark
for
Lee.
the infill housing incentive program.
Yeah,
which
I
is
think the way
first
we
year of the
proposed
two-year
it,
program for
it's not a one-time, it's from this day
Next slide,
forward.
please.
I think
It's an opportunity cost of just having that money sit there. I understand. So, and we brought them down from 150, 2 years ago? Right. So, really, I'm going to look to you and Heather to.
He's been
really
incredible,
get us
so
in
thank
more
you
in
very much,
alignment
Pete. You
with
gave up a lot.
what
We
those
appreciate it.
numbers should
Thank you.
be.
And unlike past administrations, we will not be politically correct. You don't mind that, do you? When it comes to defending the United States, we're no longer politically correct. We're going to defend our country any way we have to. That's usually not the politically correct way. From now on, at the White House, if we're in a war, we're going to win the war. We're going to win the United States military to stop the invasion on our southern border, right? It was an invasion, losing hundreds of thousands of people to fentanyl and to drugs, and now we have the most secure border in American history. For 5 months, they said no people came into our country illegally. They came in through a legal process, but nobody came in through the southern border. Can you imagine? Even I can't, it's hard to believe that.
Well, you're on the call already.
1023 Livermore Street. Traffic, probably en route. Have 1-339-351. 10-4-339-351.
Ever is the most important to you. When we
Great, and they're respected and they're loved. Thank you very much. Stand up if you'd like. Thank you very much. They're really loved. I saw it backstage. I saw so many veterans, and my hand will never be the same. Thank you very much. A great honor. And a very special thanks to the countless Navy families who support our sailors with such love and devotion.
Close nominations, and so as there's only one
candidate, Ms. Summers is elected by acclamation.
Perfect weather for a project like this
take
today.
nominations from the floor for vice president.
So what I'm looking at here, just from this perspective that Preston's got, you see the 9 in the background. We're going to be able to use that 9 as a reference point as it gets lower and lower and lower. So it seems like it may not be moving, right? And right now it's not, but as the...
We do this.
Dispatch 509. I'm clear for Golden Gate, but I'll need a PD case number.
We don't want them. In the meantime,
Quick overview of the project. It is a 300-acre development, and we're looking at roughly about just a little over 1,000 homes. That includes also 23 acres of parks, 13 acres of hike and bike trails, additionally a community center, a community resort style pool, recreational fields, and some areas to play basketball, baseball, pickleball, and Corpus services is located just a little bit southeast of
the city of Corpus Christi, for our part, is working to address the water needs. Chairwoman Corpus has spoken several times recently in front of legislative bodies positively about the work that the city of Corpus Christi is doing. So this conference provides that important opportunity to make sure that we stay in touch with statewide.
With what those numbers should be.
Understand.
Okay.
Mr. Timmons? As you know, Mike, the board had been given Delmar and A&M $150,000.
Air Force Base at 2 a.m.
Lieutenant, I think we've covered this, haven't we?
Your Honor, these are the Tower Chief's logs for both Guantanamo Bay and Andrews Air Force Base. Guantanamo log lists no flight that left at 11 p.m., and the Andrews log lists no flight that landed at 2 a.m. I'd like to admit them as defense exhibits Alpha and Bravo.
I don't understand. You're admitting evidence of a flight that never existed.
Oh, we believe it did, sir. Defense will be calling Airman Cecil O'Malley and Airman Anthony Rodriguez.
Ever is the most important to you, and we encourage people to do that.
Wonderful. And from a city perspective, when you were looking to do this fundraising, was there something that you were looking at particularly that you were hoping people would understand or employees would understand?
So originally, when we developed our team, we brought everybody in. We wanted a voice from every department. So we had selected, a few from every department. That way, everybody had their turn to say, ideas coming in.
Going to become the commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy. And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for, huh? You may be surprised.
Didn't go down that way. And I think that's where, in my opinion, the train got off the tracks.
5905 4250 5905.
House 23 Outer George.
Just to be advised, we are in Tiger time.
101 Naval Air, 101 Naval Air Station, and nobody's answering on the fire, 905.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say, in the Gulf of America. No, it's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It's a big hit. So I'm very...
As a 10th grade English and AP capstone teacher, Ms. Recio exemplifies the highest standards of profession, fostering an environment where every student feels seen, heard, and valued. Inspired by her mother, a lifelong educator, she continues to uphold the belief
no enemy will ever even dream of threatening America's Navy. There's no Navy even close. Not even close. You hear about some of them doing ships, but nobody can do what we do. Nobody has what we have. We also have the best equipment that rides along in those ships. You see that. Nobody makes equipment like we do. Nobody makes the ammunition, the weapons, the missiles, the planes, none of it. And if they do, the American sailors stand.
Highway 35, 361, Highway 35, is that going to be city?
Everyday world, but in this capacity,
This thing over 6 months. I'm familiar also with the Corpus Christi Association of Realtors and not liking to register properties, but in this particular case, and again, so one before I get further, does this pertain to land? Lots. There's a lot of lots that they've got 6, 10-foot grass, you know, which causes rodents and everything else. They may have a shed on there. They may not even have a house. So does this pertain to those two?
This is for buildings.
Vacant extends far beyond the classroom. Her hope. Session fee schedule for the Corpus Christi Police Department for sessions held at the Corpus Christi Police Academy.
Paul,
Mike
that our city is being sued.
Yes, ma'am.
It's being sued.
Item 20 is our new academy,
all the lack of
as we
process
intended
from
upon
this
building
council.
it to
Our
provide
illustrious
training to
mayor
our surrounding
is
area.
named
Rather than send our
31
folks
times
off to
in this
training, we're going to
lawsuit.
bring folks here and train them.
Also, one of the things that really bothered me in looking at this lawsuit is that it says Mayor Paulette Guajardo privately solicited a fellow councilman's vote during the public meeting involving
Engine 17.
Go ahead.
If PD needed.
Hey, go ahead and close it out, but once he clears it, I can clear.
Tuesday, and during that council meeting, a lot of business is being conducted, and we just want to make sure the message that I'm about to tell you did not get lost. So we appreciate the media and folks tuning in. We especially appreciate the council members behind me. We have a majority of our council behind us who are united in the message I'm about to deliver, and they will deliver as well. And that is that this city council has a path forward for water security, both short-term and long-term.
And Heather to really get us more in alignment with
with what those numbers should be.
Understand.
Okay?
Mr.
Thank
Temez?
you.
As you know, Mike, the board had been giving Delmar and A&M $150,000.
Yes,
For
sir.
a few years. I'm talking about for 6, 7, 8.
Charlie 1, 98 Street clear. Charlie 2, 340. Otherwise, is pretending to not be home. Be scared of the house to get her birth certificate. Make sure her daughter's inside the house. Hispanic female. Are there any way to get the location to make contact?
Progressive part of it. It is an iterative process, and you sort of know it when you get there. Sometimes it's earlier in the process. Sometimes it has to go a bit later, depending on if you're getting the features you want in the project.
Mr. Peters, Ms. Hassan.
That's sort of the beauty of it. Is
over the last
some of the early projects got there really quickly, and some of these more complex ones take a little bit more work, and you just work at it until you arrive at something that's mutually agreeable.
Extremely expensive, so I don't want to get sideways. I'm not sure I'm the appropriate one to support them.
Yeah, he can answer it. So what we're doing is, because we...
Let him answer.
Well, I'll answer it for him. So we're working to try to get more interest, right? We had one bid, especially because this is a design build, so the designer is going to be, the builder is going to be the designer, right? So in some models, you have a design firm, they design it, then you put it up for bid, so this is a kind of a cross-check. Right, but
an opportunity cost of just having that money sit there.
I understand.
So,
and we brought them down from 150, 2 years ago.
Right. So, really, I'm going to look to you and Heather to really get us more in alignment with what those numbers should be.
Understand.
Okay.
Mr. Temez?
Thank you.
As you know, Mike,
Paul, that our city is being sued. It's being sued because of all the lack of process from this council. Our illustrious mayor is named 31 times in this lawsuit.
Something that's already been done.
Also, one of the things that really bothered me in looking at this lawsuit is that it says Mayor Paulette Guajardo privately solicited a fellow councilman's vote during the public meeting involving
be responsibility of the county. So community projects like the skate park.
I'm not sure I'm the appropriate one.
He can answer it. So what we're doing is, because I'll answer it for him. So we're working to try to get more interest, right? We had one bid.
Going to become the commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Right, but
and I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for, huh? You may be surprised.
She continues to uphold the belief that strong relationships and continuous learning are the heart of great teaching. Ms. Recio's influence extends far beyond the classroom. Her hope
After today's decisions, that work can begin. Stephanie Lowe.
Arriving gain mileage 9.7.
That's 50 location.
To authorize an amount not to exceed $6,135 for Type A board members.
50% commission? For what?
It's our markup
for our
services.
So if I If I sell a stock at $10,000, my commission is $5,000.
If you sell $10,000 worth of this stock, I will personally give you a blowjob for free. And I hope it happens.
Hello, John. How you doing today? You mailed in my company a postcard a few weeks back requesting information on penny stocks that had huge up.
Going forward, I hope ISAC will take note of this as well, that the county has a hard time continuing
based on what I've seen in the construction that's going out there, we did a great tour. There's a lot of dollars being invested, so I don't think we're going to jeopardize that.
Back in the White House, I deployed the men and women of the United States military to stop the invasion on our southern border, right? It was an invasion, losing hundreds of thousands of people to fentanyl and to drugs, and now we have the most secure border in American history. For 5 months, they said zero, no people came into our country illegally. They came in through a legal process, but nobody came in through the southern border. Can you imagine? Even I can't. It's hard to believe that.
Yes. I'm gonna throw you out the goddamn window.
Doctor reviews
what, Jay
Mr. Garvey, we're telling the truth. We have clubs at the school. We have clubs for special interests.
Okay, I see. So y'all want to play? Y'all want to play? Yeah, okay, we're gonna play little games.
Couple of days, 40% off
methimazole. I'm more than happy to play some games. Anyone who's in a club
this is not necessarily
stand your ass
today.
Please
will help keep our community healthy your specific doctor, or even reach out to the doctors, pharmacists, and nurses.
What's going to happen with that parcel? That was in a park, right?
Right, it's still a city
request.
park, so,
it's outside the city limits. We would do it at
TAP
TAP if you do it at a building permit. And that's, again, part of the policy discussion that's going to happen with SEAC on when the actual fee is charged. You could charge it either at plat or building permit. Right. We're recommending building permit because that's the way 99% of the cities do it.
Thank you.
So this was item 2 on the agenda, was the recommendation on stormwater. So we had a lot of options
early this last year
out there.
And the public boat ramp. The Elkhead is also the center or the main location for all these world-class regattas that come in. So this facility gets heavy use. Next slide, please. This is a concept drawing.
Commercial impact fees
of the new
on this
boating
slide.
facility and the green spaces we would like to have out there.
Your wastewater,
the turquoise building is Jane's bait shop.
It's showing the fee assessment on ERUs, not KSFs.
Yeah, ERU, it would be for commercial, it's based on your meter size. So let's say a 6-inch meter is 70 ERUs. So you would pay basically that ERU fee times 70.
Okay. Is there a
display of Navy dominance, and that's what it was. It was dominance and Bravo Zulu. You know what that is? Bravo Zulu. You know, a lot of people don't. And it's a true honor to be here with the thousands of our nation's finest sailors at the largest naval facility in the entire world. It's the largest, and I would say more importantly, it's the best, okay? It's both the Norfolk Naval Base. Thank you very much. The largest, and it's the...
We give them snacks and things like that. I mean, after school, they get snacks. A lot of schools, sometimes they have tutorials.
Okay.
First place, because it went. I mean, I don't have to remind everybody what the cost went from. But when we're sitting there at the end of the day and somebody's going, well, you know what? When another council member said they had a conversation, it could be up to 1.5 to 1.8 billion.
Renting 44 access and run more against the outside to rent something to carrying wood pallets.
Working with us together to be able to achieve those things. The other thing I want to talk about, though, is I think that, and your presentation was good, but I also want to take a look at the future of North Beach and some of the things like erosion and some of the other things. And I wish that somebody was here from the USS Lexington, because I know in the past there's been some issues there as far as making sure that long-term that structure can stay in place and do the things that it needs to be done. Have you had an update at all or anything?
What I was interested in as well. That's not a bad price for a month.
$125.
That's really, actually, really good. Do they get anything to eat
during that
moved
period?
on trying to sell it.
I think they get,
but
we
I
give
hear
them
what you're
snacks and
saying.
things like that. I mean, after school, they get snacks.
Did you mention the
a lot of schools,
successes or
sometimes they have
failures?
tutorials.
You said San Antonio and El Paso?
Correct.
And did you talk about them at all?
So they do have a program that is somewhat successful. Again, they leverage a lot of other tools, bigger budgets.
108, 110, whatever the number is. How does it work? How does it work before that happens?
To make sure that any properties that
I mean, we're sending guys out the door today, potentially getting FEMA reimbursement up to 106.
To become the commanding officer
so the
here at the
question
Naval
becomes
Station
is,
Norfolk
where does that money
Radio,
go?
where he founded a nautical school for officers
Back to us
that
how?
eventually became the one and only
yeah, but when you get it, where
U.S.
does it go?
Naval Academy. And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for?
Inflation and the printing of money, trillions out of thin air.
You may be surprised.
Roughly matching now $38 trillion in debt. What does that mean for our future, whether it's purchasing that first or second property or creating generational wealth? Well, history proves it. It rhymes. And every time a currency weakens, gold and silver reveals the truth. This goes to 5,000 plus years of human history. These metals don't depend on promises. They don't vanish. When confidence collapses in the markets,
Pretty clear.
I got a 911 from the nurse's office.
Next one seen now. Stand by.
beforehand, President Trump putting on Truth Social just a couple of hours ago. Very much looking forward to my meeting with President Xi of China. It will take place in a few hours. President DJT, and those few hours are right now, 7 minutes early. It is approximately there 10 p.m. Eastern right here on our seaboard.
Accidental overdose at 1818 Trojan, 1818 Trojan at
children and our grandchildren, where our history comes from, that our ancestors are the ones that came to this country, that our ancestors to learn and to grow into this country, something and to learn and grow, coming from a generation of my grandfather, from a generation of my grandfather, from the journey of Spain, it shows you how to take the journey.
And we brought them down from 150.
County, San Patricio County. We will be meeting with city councils in Sinton, in Portland, in Rockport. We are going to do town halls or informational briefings to
the budget, the item.
San Patricio County
Okay, so
Commissioners
we need
Court.
I guess we'll reconsider the item, make the amendment,
So we'll do as many town
and
halls
then
and briefings and
vote on
engagement sessions as we need
the
to
motion as amended.
make sure our community
Is that correct?
knows that
Because
one,
that's
we
what,
hear
okay,
them,
so
two,
first we need to
have
reconsider the item.
Pretty high.
So we'll reconsider, there's
Move that we reconsider the item. Whether or not you're actually going to move forward or not.
So by the item,
and I
we're
guess
saying,
$7.5 million is what you're estimating
number.
the total cost to be. That's for a 10,000 square foot clubhouse. That's $750 a foot, and that's without having to pay for the land. I mean, that's already in. That's already there. So your brothers.
Constructed with a contingency as well. So if we take 700, actually we're going to recommend more. 700 is not enough. We probably need 850,000 for the skate park.
Right.
But if we were to take 850,000 away from Sand Dollar, The next
address things
progressive
we
step
already
will
have
be
the tools to address.
As we close out
So
this fiscal year,
I can't support
to
this.
check balances in
What
existing
tools are we
capital
not
projects that are closing
addressing
out
these
or
homes
other
with?
projects.
Move funds.
Well,
Or are we not using?
From the code side, we address with everything that we have. Once it goes into a legal proceeding, that's outside of my purview.
Yeah, but what are the tools that he's referencing?
We lien properties, once those properties are liened, so if I come out and mow the grass and pull a junk vehicle and it costs the city $500, we put a lien.
Washington, her 70-year-old female falls back for multiple head trauma. She is breathing but unconscious. 710 Washington. 710 Washington. I'll go ahead and send it to your work phone.
Tony, what's going on? Tell me you found that cube. Oh, you gotta be shitting me. I have eyes on Loki, 14th floor. I'm not Loki. And I don't want to hurt you.
He's been incredible, so thank you very much, Pete. You gave up a lot. We appreciate it. Thank you. And unlike past administrations, we will not be politically correct. You don't mind that, do you? When it comes to defending the United States,
Before
we no
we
longer
approve the budget,
politically
I mean,
correct.
the item.
Defend our country.
Okay, so you're gonna need to,
any way we
we'll
have to.
reconsider the item,
Usually not the
make the amendment,
correct way. From now on,
and then vote on
we're in a war. We're
the,
going to win the
the
war. We're
motion
going to
is
win it.
amended. Is that correct? Because that's what, okay,
You know,
so
Mike, we,
first we need to reconsider the item.
Okay.
So we'll reconsider, and there's
Move that we reconsider the item.
Okay. So by the item, we're saying, there's no number.
129.
Show me clear of stores.
I'll be in route. South 4. 7.4 received.
We have for that vehicle is going to be a temp tag 76075. Primary Paul.
That's all I got. That's a description.
That temp tag expired in September, so I'm sure that's what's still on it. We're looking for a white Buick Carryall 2020.
Accidental.
Received. Engine 13.
3, clear. You can show me around to that bird as well.
AMXM LLC at 40.
There being no one, we'll close public hearing and move on to item number 13, which is a resolution authorizing a developer participation agreement with LSK Development. Bless you.
All right, good morning, or now good afternoon, Council. Mike Dice, Development Services. What we have today, first item is a participation agreement with for Azali Estates for the oversize and overdepth of.
Throughout this,
and then there were some non-economic ones.
That's why it's called progressive design build. It's not going to always be pretty, but you have to have some trust in the process. In today's construction environment, I don't think, I'm speaking out of school, to say it's really tough out there right now with different forms of.
Veterans Memorial Park. Now, for those that don't know what this helicopter is, it is a decommissioned Huey helicopter that's currently being refurbished to be installed inside of the
Green Shores is going to be 2026.
Healthcare. And when that didn't work, they resorted to lying, just making up total lies about who gets the health care and who doesn't. And as they trigger a health care crisis, they're also now triggering a hunger crisis. Trump's doing that, halting SNAP benefits, ordering his own Department of Agriculture to rip its own contingency plan. The money's there, over $6 billion in
It'll be on the north side of the freeway, the west to east turnaround. Yeah, on one. So we go.
Last 3 months to help lead this building. I think that the American Bank Center, what you have here, I've been in the venue management industry for about 30 years, going back to performing arts, arenas, and stadiums. And to see this facility that you have that has the arena, that has the convention center, and the Selena Auditorium all under one roof is a very unique setting, and it's a really wonderful asset for the community. I know I've said this to our city manager as well, that just in my brief time here, I've become an incredibly huge fan for it, and I really do.
There's no number.
That has no deal with that address that you're at?
Address things we already have the tools to address. So I can't support this. Thank you.
What tools are we not addressing these homes with?
Well,
or are we not using?
From the code side, we address with everything that we have. Once it goes into a legal proceeding, that's outside of my purview.
Yeah, but what are the tools that he's referencing?
We lien properties once those properties are liened. So if I come out and mow the grass and pull a junk vehicle and it costs the city $500.
One is just ending the drought, and there's a couple ways we can monitor that. And you can get some significant rain events like what we had up in the hill country earlier this month and last month. And if we get that located over the right area where we're seeing that significant drought, that's going to help a lot with that 20 inches of rain. But if you're talking about filling up the reservoirs, that's a whole nother story, because first we need to get rid of that drought so the ground is not absorbing all that water, because we're losing a lot of it just to being fed into the underground aquifers. And
again, we don't know what the year to year is going to change. I mean, last year's donation going to a particular nonprofit could now change this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's the luxury of the United Way.
Yes.
You get to pick where it
knowing
impacts
that
you most.
your donations stay here and going to an important feature to you.
What is your proudest moment of the campaign so far?
Man.
Besides being here with us.
They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say, in the Gulf of America. No, it's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm very
An opportunity cost of just having that money sit there.
I understand.
So,
and we brought them down from 150, 2 years ago?
Right.
Our community,
to
the community living here. So just wondering, what is it that they would have to go through to get help?
So it's really not a whole lot they have to go through. If they don't qualify Texas Workforce Commission, then we have a separate form that's similar to that. That's all internal document that we look at everything, and then that's where we come up with that scholarship rate at a 75 an hour. It's really, there's not a lot of hoops to go through.
Okay.
Recommendation. I'm not advocating to undo something that's already been done. I'm certainly saying that going forward, I hope ISAC will take note of this as well, that the county has a hard time continuing to pay for things that would not be responsibility of the county. So community projects like the skate park is real easy to jump into, real easy to support. It was an idea that I put.
Westbound and County 40. It's going to be William, Lincoln, Tom, 427.
XM LLC at 40. Lincoln, Tom, 127.
Request is for a time extension of the GC.
Sister, you're going to scan your tickets with my wife. You'll buy the merchandise from my daughters. And then my sons are a part of the show as well, so am I. So the whole show is it's a family run. When they say family run and
Centers or things like that. So, but we do have that already in place, and we have partnered with Del Mar on specific training. We help sponsor a portion of the cost for their instrumentation training that they did in support of some of our industrial partners.
Biggest thing for us.
Okay, Councilman Pesley.
Yeah, so we can't change anything for the Type B Corporation currently. We can't change any of that until 2028.
A special meeting on the 30th, regular on the 16th.
Motion to approve. An opportunity cost of just having that money sit there.
I understand. So, and we brought them down from 150, 2 years ago.
Right. So, really, I'm going to look to you and Heather to really get us more in alignment with what those numbers should be.
Understand.
Okay.
Mr.
Arnold Flores.
As you know, Mike, the board has been given
go ahead and spell it out, but once he clears, y'all can clear.
Yes, sir.
A few years. I'm talking about for 6, 7, 8.
VP to say a few words because he feels very strongly about it. I think it's very important, Pam, that when we do this, that the state requires, they come and ask us.
Golden Gate, but I'll need a PD case number.
I see Pritzker say, we don't want them. In the meantime, his city is being shot to hell. And they do that politically. And they probably do want it.
No,
if we didn't go to Los Angeles, you would literally have had to call off the Olympics. It was so bad. And the sheriff and the
can't be there today, but my chief of staff is. But Melody, the chair, knows that I'll be a part of that selection process. We just want to remind everybody that the city contributes a
going to become the commanding officer here at the Naval Station Norfolk, right here, where he founded a nautical school for officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy. And I'm going to be at your Army-Navy game this year. Who am I going to root for, huh?
Because we thought it was our property. And then we learned that, no, this is actually the property of the
Industrial Development Corporation. And we also learned that there were some deed restrictions that attached to this property when we received it back from the state. So this was all part of the old Cliff Moss Airport. And to support the construction of the Texas State School, we dedicated the land to the state.
New contract awards, and we're putting work in place at the rate of about
He's been
Going
incredible,
to
so thank you very
become
much.
commanding
Give up a
officer
lot.
here
We
at the
appreciate
Naval
it. Thank
Station,
you.
Norfolk, right here, where he founded a
And
nautical
unlike
school for officers that
past
eventually became
administrations, we will
the
not
one
be
and only
politically
U.S.
correct.
Naval
When
Academy.
it comes to defending the United States, we're no longer politically correct. Defend our country any way we have to.
And I'm going to be at your Army Navy game this year.
Politically correct.
Who am I going to
From
root
now
for?
on,
Huh?
tells you also
we're in a war. We're going to win the war. We're going to win it.
You may be surprised.
due to water
So,
demands, and we're forecasting in the next couple of months or even
Victor Boy X-ray 4913.
Victor Boy X-ray 4913, go ahead. Gas outside at 1506 Dove. 1506 Dove. Yes, the
400 block of Hoffman.
That's from Medical 11.
And you can answer or you cannot answer.
I'm not sure I'm the appropriate one to answer.
Yeah, he can answer it. So what we're doing is because we
Well, then let him answer.
Well, I'll answer it for him. So we're working to try to get more interest, right? We had one bid, especially because this is a design build, so the designer is going to be, the builder is going to be the designer, right? So in some models, you have a design firm, they design it, then you put it up for bid. So this is a kind of a cross check, right? But this
Are great, and they're respected and they're loved. Thank you very much. Stand up if you'd like. Thank you very much.
Additional city manager appointees are opposite to those terms.
They're really loved. I saw it backstage.
Yes.
They're not voted on, they're just appointed by that council member.
I saw so many veterans in my hand who will never
just
be the
appointed.
same.
There's no vote.
Thank you very much. A great honor and a very special thanks to
Yeah, I
the
mean, I don't
countless
think anybody's
Navy
saying that's
families who
appointee,
support our
but it's
sailors
their
with such
appointee.
love and devotion.
So, really, I'm
I just want to get Bart Brazelton off of there. I mean, no, I'm kidding.
Mr. Timmons? As you know, Mike, the board had been given Delmar and $150,000.
Yes,
For
sir.
a few years. I mean, I'm talking about for 6, 7, 8.
361 Highway 35, 361 Highway 35. Is that going to be city? Can you advise the nature of your 95 charge?
For now, civil assault and resisting.
Can you pop up in a flare?
Quick overview of the project. It is a 300-acre development, and we're looking at roughly about just a little over 1,000 homes. That includes also 23 acres of parks, 13 acres of hike and bike trails, additionally a community center, a community resort style pool, recreational fields, some areas to play basketball, baseball, pickleball, and the like. Okay, and this, for reference purposes, is located just a little bit southeast of the
going on. I want to say a huge thank you to our Corpus Christi firefighters for handling and protecting me and my building from a 4th floor stove fire a few weeks ago. It required 4 trucks, hustle, and proper guidance to the community to keep us safe. So thank you so much for jumping into situations like that. I would like to make a suggestion for adding a requirement that the
Reference that overdose at Moody High School. Flight 10 is transported to disqualified. No PD was needed.
We have a guy outside asking for our name and badge number, all kinds of stuff.
Perfect weather for a project like this today.
Fiscal year is the Salvation Army program. I know that they just, I believe, finished compliance, so we should be paying that out.
So what I'm looking at here, just from this perspective that Preston's got, you see the 9 in the background. We're going to be able to use that 9 as a reference point as it gets lower and lower and lower. So it seems like it may not be moving, right? And right now it's not, but as the
services used by tourists and convention guests. Currently, the CBD board has 13 members that the city council appoints. So we do have a large stake in the CBB operations, and I know it's extremely important for our community and for you, Mayor and Council, that we work with CBB to make sure they hire a good leader going forward. So I just want to let you know
or fingernails. Naturally occurring physical hazards include bones in meat or fish, pits in fruit, and shells in shellfish.
Tucker, just then,
food
yes. I'm gonna throw you out the goddamn window.
Because we do recognize that all of these would be right
Mr.
now
Garvey,
kind of
we're telling the truth. We have clubs at the school. We have clubs for special interests.
Okay, I see. So y'all want to play? Y'all want to play? Yeah, okay. We're gonna play little games.
We're trying to be really mindful of that.
I'm more than happy to play some games with y'all. Anyone who's in a club, stand your ass up.
Can I get you out to 117 North Rochelle?
Second. We have a second. Okay.
On August 22nd, I told viewers that the road to artificial general intelligence was already bringing massive change to society and disrupting industries around the world. And to take advantage, I recommended buying a group of stocks.
G merged with another company, AEG, and they became ASM Global. Sorry, a lot of different letters scrambling around there, but yeah, that merger took place, I think, about 2 years ago.
All 3 of my
commanding officer here at the Naval Station, Norfolk.
They would like to say it's a better company because it was merged with
School for Officers that eventually became the one and only U.S. Naval Academy.
Global that we're ready for a full-time
working with us together to be able to achieve those things.
Going through the contract.
The other thing I want to talk about, though, is I think that
and I'm going to be at your Army Navy
and your presentation was good, but I also want to take a look at the future of North Beach and some of the things like erosion and some of the other things. And I wish that somebody was here from the USS Lexington, because I know in the past there's been some issues there as far as making sure that long-term that structure can stay in place and do the things that it needs to be done. Have you had an update at all or anything?
Number 7 to budget and number 20 the key items.
And unlike
And you see the traffic flowing over the bridge in the background there. Wow, what a structure. That drive over that new bridge, if you haven't done it yet, is very smooth. It's got
Move that we reconsider the item.
on that bridge.
So by the item we're saying
Clearly taller, so really cool view
There's
there.
still City Park.
We're still on the
so,
Lex
we do have
cam.
several that were.
Now, I'm Alan Holt, if you're
looking
watching.
at for future use or disposition. So, yeah. No, it was not. Right. Never was. It's still a city park.
Okay.
And they do that politically.
Thank you.
And they probably do want it. No. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, you would literally have had to call off the Olympics. It was so bad. And the sheriff and the
5905 4250 5905.
Med 72 unconscious at 3829 IH 69, 3829 IH 69 Access Road at Walmart.
82-year-old woman, and a 30-year widow, by the way. So, after a brief report, she said, "Take it back."
Heard any pictures from the hardest hit areas.
Flash forward to about 2 years
White
ago,
House and also areas around
when we almost lost a middle school grandchild to sex trafficking, mostly due to a mixture of sexually explicit material in the library and sexting.
Former Illinois sheriff's deputy
We
was
were
found
within
guilty
hours of losing our grandchild.
Maggie Vespa was there for the verdict.
Tonight in Illinois, former Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson guilty of second-degree murder in the shooting.
It had an additional 9.88 that was planned for next year. Of course, that hasn't been approved, but
from the Seawall funds?
From Seawall funds.
That are out there doing that. So our team and our department is just wonderful, and I have a great team from our assistant directors to Monica to everybody else. It's just a great team, and we're very cohesive and we work well together. What we're doing is trying to improve our community and make our citizens proud of Corpus.
AMXM LLC at 40.
Call for 97, ladder 7, 97, ladder 7, CB for a shooting call, 2226 on the dash, 2226 on the dash, still looking at EMS 2 at 1527.
He had said no, saying he was shot, and saying his mom was shot as well, he had blood on his neck. So they have the police in Bolton. So for 1 and for 2, any confirmation to call in 2? Other items, it's going to be a black female. Wearing some denim shorts. Gold PTU.
Item I on the agenda is Executive Director comments.
At 361 Highway 35, 1 Highway 35, is that going to be city? Call is pending report at this time at 1335.
Perfect weather for a project like this today.
Waterburger Field.
Ending Corpus Christi Code Section 55-54 to update.
So what I'm looking at here,
laboratory
just from this
charges.
perspective that Preston's got, you see the 9 in the background. We're going to be able to use that 9 as a reference point as it gets lower and lower and lower. So it seems like it may not be moving, right? And right now it's not.
We have
but
internal
as
customers
the
and external customers. This ordinance updates our fees for each of the
address things we already have the tools to address. So I can't support this.
What tools are we not addressing these homes with?
Well,
Or are we not using?
From the code side, we address with everything that we have. Once it goes into a legal proceeding, that's outside of my purview.
Yeah, but what are the tools that he's referencing?
We lien properties once those properties are liened. So if I come out and mow the grass and pull a junk vehicle and it costs the city $500, we put a lien.
Now 1336.
On August 22nd, I told viewers that the road to artificial general intelligence was already bringing massive changes to society and disrupting industries around the world. And to take advantage, I recommended buying a group of stocks, including these. Then, I told them to sell a group of stocks before they got wiped out on the road to AGI, including these three. All three of my buy recommendations beat the market, while all three of my sell recommendations fell.
The motion is amended.
This isn't a one-off.
Because that's what, okay, so first we need to reconsider the item.
More than 9 months.
So we'll reconsider.
So in less than 1 year, we
Move that we reconsider the item.
$1 trillion of new investments.
So by the item we're saying.
Previous administration, in 4 years, they did less than $1 trillion. I think much less, actually. And hurt our country very badly. Who would have known? But we're going to be 18, so I think
Doing it beautifully. They had very
we'll probably
talented,
be
very,
20 or
very
21,
talented
maybe
people.
even
Nobody
$22 trillion of
embodies skill and
investments coming into our
nerve and
country.
swagger and the attitude like a U.S. naval aviator. So I have great respect for you all. Thank you very much. It's one of the reasons I'm here. That's why I'm here, not someone else. I didn't need this.
Data dashboard.
I didn't need the whole damn job. I could have been doing. I could have had a nice. I had such
our
a
water
beautiful
resources. You can updated bi-weekly forecast on our water supply. It tells you what our lake levels are at. It tells you also what conditions we're projecting due to water demands, and we're forecasting in the next couple of months or even.
$1,800-361. I'm Tom Mary Norris, 6617.
It's an opportunity cost of just having that money sit there.
I understand.
So,
and we brought them down from 150, 2 years ago?
Right. So, really, I'm going to look to you and Heather to really get us more in alignment with what those numbers should be.
I understand.
Okay.
Mr.
Thank you.
As you know, Mike, we the board had been given Delmore and A&M $150,000.
Yes, sir.
For a few years. I mean, I'm talking about for 6, 7, 8.
2506, 10-4 Holland traffic. Once we get everything cleared up here, let's go ahead and have the Robin Chase go home.
Then you can answer or you cannot answer.
I'm not sure I'm the appropriate one to answer.
Yeah, he can answer it. So what we're doing is because we...
Well, then let him answer.
Well, I'll answer it for him. So we're working to try to get more interest, right? We had one bid, especially because this is a design build, so the designer is going to be, the builder is going to be the designer, right? So in some models, you have a design firm, they design it, then you put it up for bid. So this is a kind of
Funding available.
Right, but this
Next slide. Looking at our major business incentives, we have $2.4 million that has been committed to the business incentives. Those are expected to be paid out by the end of 23. Next slide, please. Then looking at our small business projects, these are the contracts that we enter into for these different programs. A lot of these contracts are actually calendar year contracts, even though they.
97, line 7, 97, line 7, QB for shooting call, 2226 on the that, 2226 over that. So you're looking at EMS 2 at 1527.
Anybody that wanted to use it before would register and sign up for it, and we can still do that any night of the week and on the weekend and in the morning on Tuesday. Councilwoman, do you want to say?
Somebody at 139 Edwards, can you copy down, LP?
Yeah, go ahead.
Charles Adam 28337.
Items 5 and 21 for specific discussion. Yes, sir.
17 and 21.
Number 17 and number 21. Anyone else?
Taxes grown at a higher.
Number 16.
Tom, we still haven't seen or heard any pictures from the
Okay, with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items 17, 21, and 16.
Still tracking that. Now that the
Okay, with the motion in a
Sergeant
second.
Massey shot and killed a law enforcement responding to her call. Sean Grayson, a former Illinois sheriff's deputy, was found guilty of second-degree murder. Maggie Vespa was there for the verdict.
Tonight in Illinois, former Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson guilty of second-degree murder in the shooting.
Free health care for illegal immigrants.
Includes $356,000 during the development, and then from 24 to 34, about $497,000. The Housing Finance Corporation also acquires the land and leases it on a long term to the limited partner. The limited partner pays for the cost of the land. The land and the improvements will be exempt from property taxes. The limited partner covers all costs of operations, and the Housing Finance Corporation
Oh, I'm sorry.
Planning work there. We've got to do some assessment to determine if it is feasible to
And we brought them
utilize
down from
that. If there's
150.
some,
Fourth, Governor Abbott's
other
office
better
announced the
ways to do
appointment
it.
of Chief
So,
Wade
right now, it's
to
just
the Texas
more
Commission on
identify
Fire
vendors
Protection.
that we would like to try and connect
And Chief
with
Wade's
advisory
appointment is to
and
complete a
provide
term
connectivity
that is
for
set to expire in
circulation
February. So he'll have from September 4th through February. And we were just talking a few minutes ago, and we suspect that he'll be nominated again for the full term, which is a 6-year term in February. And so then the governor could consider a reappointment for a longer term. But just some background on
For an alarm, 2710 North Shoreline, 2710 North Shoreline, Texas State Aquarium, ESCs 1002, working very good, 1343.
Anyone copy? St. James, there is a drone around the playground area. I was looking for a dumpster driver. Good work, thank you. On the CAD system, it says it's going to be a false alarm. Showing you one in station.
And just 696 Flourish, 4505 Moon Lake Ridge Drive, 4505 Moon Lake Ridge Drive, ESE 6010, Ridge Creek in Corpus Road, pushing EMS 1, 1344, 10 for everyone on the station.
Dispatch me excited.
Medic 7.
Can you show us the service for customer service, please?
Show me. At 361.
Engine 3, medic 3, engine 3, medic 3, for apply that money is the attendant.
And we brought them down from 150, 2 years ago.
Right. So, really, I'm going to look to you and Heather to really get us more in alignment with what those numbers should be.
Look at this guy. He's a good-looking guy. Get out of here, James. I don't want you up here. No, come here, James.
The board has been given Delmar and A&M 150,000.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say I appreciate all my fellow shipmates. What I did back then in Iwakuni, it was heartbreaking for losing.
XM LLC at 40.
Through her commitment to excellence in teaching. As a 10th grade English and AP capstone teacher,
Cell plants are the most expensive. They also represent disbenefits to the local region from negative impacts to the local habitat. These cell plants are
economic development based streets. And to do that, the same groups are saying delete some of the buildings in there. So just have the American Bank Center, not all the other 5 buildings behind, and then have a more even narrow focus on the building footprint, just the American Bank Center, not the